And it's live.
Awesome.
There we go.
Yep, and it looks like it's live on our page too. So.
Oh yeah, that's working.
Yep.
It's my first time to be able to do that.
All right, all the issues worked out before we started.
Nice.
Yes.
Love when that happens.
Say no to the gremlins.
That's right.
Um, pull that back up.
Must hydrate.
Yes, definitely. All right, everybody good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, what's up, everybody? I'm Ozzy, St. Anger Productions. Today, we have a special guest with us, Paralytic. What's up, guys?
Hey, what's
Hey,
up?
how's it going?
Oh, good to go. Good to have you guys here.
Well, thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us. Yeah.
No problem. So, I fully support local entertainment. However, local is not limited to just Tonkawa, Tulsa, or wherever you know it's local can literally be anywhere you're located. Local is your scene, your location. With that being said, tell me a little bit about what local means to you. What is your location, and describe the local entertainment scene.
I mean, for us, I mean, we've been in Oklahoma City pretty much the whole time. So, you know, I would say probably to us, most of our local scene is the people that are in Oklahoma City. But like, we've also had the cool opportunity to play with people out in Enid and Norman and, and a few surrounding areas. So like for me, I guess I would probably just say like our local scene is just anyone that, wants to play music with you, and, y'all book shows together and, just the people that kind of show up and are supporting you and you're showing up and supporting them and, playing together and just kind of evolving as musicians, I guess.
I like it. Anybody else have anything to add?
It's definitely changed a lot over the years compared to when I first started playing in the local scene compared to now with Paralytic. I mean, back then it was a bunch of older fellas in their 40s and 50s on their way out, and here we are, like not even 3 years later, and it's all these smaller, newer bands that are just as hungry as we are to go the distance, and it's very exciting as opposed to back then when it was a lot more depressing. I mean, there was still that sense of
camaraderie.
Yes, thank you. Word was there in my head; it just didn't want to come out. There's always a nice little bit of friendship there, but you could just tell the energies and like how everybody behaved around each other was much different back in 2013, 2014 when I first started to now.
Okay. So let's go. I guess we can't say around because you guys are all lined up on the couch. No, we're not casting anything today, so we're going to keep a minimum of rated R, nothing above. So go down the line and tell us who you are and what instruments, any and every instrument you play.
Oh, that's a really short list. Oh, I'm Alex. I'm the drummer.
You must be a drummer.
Yeah, definitely the drummer. Can't play guitar to save my life.
Hey, you do backing vocals too.
Occasionally doing some backing vocals, but I generally try to leave that for him.
I'm Mark. I play bass and I do lead vocals for us. In my spare time, I've been like kind of picking up guitar a little bit. honestly pretty ass at it. I'm not gonna lie, but the ambition is there. So
Practice.
And I'm Landon.
Well, as long as that's there and you practice, that's all that matters.
yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm Landon. I play the guitar for us, picking up a little bit of backing vocals now. And I'm the coolest one in the band, of course.
It's true.
Are
Okay.
you also learning how to play bass?
He was playing bass a little earlier today.
Oh, see, so you guys get good at each other's instruments, and you guys can swap.
Oh no. No.
Nobody gets to touch his drum set.
Oh, it's not even that. It's just how much awkward it would be. Musical chairs to get out behind the drum set, especially in some of these places like 89th Street, like getting out.
Oh yeah,
behind, trying not
oh
to trip
dude,
over
at the
cabinets and
venue
wires,
or
yeah.
the snug lounge, that would
Forget
actually that would
it.
kind of suck.
Forget it. Not happening.
Ah.
Accident waiting. to
Maybe
happen.
just a bass and guitar.
Yeah, that seems a bit more reasonable.
Maybe, yeah.
So, how far is y'all's reach with your music, and how far are you willing to take your music?
We've hit a few states, at least on streams and streaming services. We've played shows and mostly in Oklahoma, and then one or two in Texas now. But
Sweet.
when we first started, we were definitely on a much stronger of a trajectory. And then after we lost our first guitar player, things kind of definitely spiraled for a bit. I mean, there was a whole year where we weren't doing anything because it was just Martin and I. And
Yeah.
then as soon as we got the little boy over here, a little trouble, then things have slowed and picking back up and starting to get into a rhythm again.
Oh yeah. Are you putting your music on any streaming platforms?
Oh yeah, it's all. We have our original EP and our first album out everywhere, from Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, Google Play, YouTube, you name it.
Okay. Nice. So we'll go down the row on this one. How did you get into music, like just individually?
Okay, you can start, sir.
All right. I got into music. I saw my dad playing guitar a lot when I was growing up, and I got it in my head that I wanted to get better than him. So I started playing the guitar, and was a bedroom guitarist for a few years, and finally ended up meeting these guys, and decided to start working with them. It's been a blast.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
So for me, when I was younger, I actually played drums for a little bit in like my little school band that I was in when I was like third, fourth grade. That music teacher wound up moving away, so then I no longer had a drum set to play on. So I was pretty much off of music up until COVID hit, when I lost my job and I wound up working part-time for like DoorDash and Postmates just to kind of make the difference. But I was trying to find something to do and just wanted picking up bass. Started teaching myself how to play tabs, and kind of like him, I was a bedroom instrumentalist for about a year. Then eventually one of my friends got me in touch with our original vocalist, Derek. And he and I started kind of talking about what we wanted to do musically, and decided to form Paralytic from there. And then we wound up meeting Alex and our two original guitarists about that same time, and then kind of went from there. And so I've just been doing pretty much Paralytic the majority of my time in music.
Okay. Right on.
I got started because my dad played the music pretty much from the time that we moved here to Oklahoma. He was in his own band, Self-Inflicted, and did that for the entirety of his life and still is. So I grew up listening to them playing in the garage, which was always fun to hear, especially for those early morning practices when they wake the entire house with it. And then right out of high school, got offered to play with them. So from May of 2013 until June, I had like from our first show at the Opolis for opening for Weed Eater, I had a, a bit of an easier time learning those songs because I'd already grown up with most of their catalog and only had to learn some of the stuff off their newest album. So I played with them for almost 11 years, something like that. Played in
Wow.
other bands. Oh yeah, they were the longest running band, the longest running drummer too. Uh, played in my own band called Fatal. Well, it was called Fatal Illusion at the time. Released one album, then kind of went away. They renamed the band and started doing their own thing. Then did multiple different projects that never went anywhere before I finally landed with Paralytic.
And now it's going somewhere.
And now it's definitely going somewhere.
Yep.
So, Alex, tell me a little bit about your time in Self-Inflicted.
Oh, it was definitely an experience for sure. Getting to play with Dad, that was my dream from the moment I finally figured out what instrument I wanted to play. Because I started out trying to play guitar, and that's where I learned I'm never going to be a guitar player, ever. And then when I discovered drums, that's all I wanted to do. And that whether it was for small time bar shows or arena shows, I knew drums was it. That's all I ever want to do. And then the next goal was, damn, I really want to be the drummer for Self-Inflicted. Always wanted it. And then finally when I got it, it was that dream come true. So naturally felt like I had a lot to prove and had to work my ass off to feel like I earned my spot there. Not that it was just because of nepotism, because Keith, who was the singer, is my dad.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to open for bands like Weed Eater and Crowbar and so many others, and play in Kansas and Oklahoma and Texas and some other states. Re-recorded
Nice.
their first two albums with them, which was a pretty interesting experience.
I bet.
Oh, yeah.
So I can find you on multiple streaming platforms and multiple bands, Self-Inflicted and Paralytic.
Yeah. And then the other band that I was in is called Death Sentience now. I was only ever on their first album, which is called From the Ashes, but it's still up under that name now.
Okay. I'll continue picking on you just for a little bit longer. If you had to describe what it would sound like to listen from the first song of the first album to the last song of this last album, how would you say your journey in learning and technique has been?
Well, I recorded those Self-Inflicted albums later on, like after I was already in Paralytic. We kind of did the redo of their first album, Punishment of Tomorrow, and then like the next year we started doing their second one, which was Beyond the Agony of Never, while at the same time doing our first album. So that was definitely a challenge. But my first album, that From the Ashes album with Death Sentience, that was totally different from anything else, because by that point I'd already been playing in Self-Inflicted for 2 or 3 years, used to playing one particular way, and then this was a whole new chance to expand and play something that I wanted to play but couldn't play because of styles, and just wasn't the right fit for some of the context in the music. And then now with Paralytic, I've gotten to take it to an even more absurd level. Like, I've played bits on some of these songs that I never thought I would ever be capable of doing. And it's just been a constant chase to do better for myself and to make my performance on each of these recordings better than the last one. and I think I've
I like that.
on that.
I would say yeah.
So
But
for the two bedroom instrumentalists that's graduating to a band, um, flip a coin to which one goes first. It doesn't matter, but um, describe your journeys from going from bedroom musician to who you are now. The your learning styles, the techniques that you picked up, stuff like that.
For sure. Yeah. So for me, it was, originally I really didn't have any kind of plans to be in a band or anything. I just kind of wanted to learn how to play bass just to kind of have something to do on the side, as a hobby. And so, like I first started off learning how to play like 3 Days Grace and Star Set and like some of these other, like really bigger rock guys. And eventually I just kind of wound up, through a friend of a friend kind of situation, met our original vocalist. And, so going from there, it's been kind of weird because, like, I guess I originally kind of learned how to play more like the people that I was imitating. So, like, I tried to learn how to play like, Brad Walsh from 3 Days Grace because I was learning a lot of 3 Days Grace, or, trying to learn how to play kind of like Robert Trujillo because I was learning how to play Metallica. And, just at first I felt like I was kind of limiting myself, and kind of like Alex now, I feel like I've been able to expand a lot more on my playing ability and how I play, just because like nowadays, I really experiment with like a lot of different kinds of playing, like, with bass, using a pick, finger style, slap pop, all that kind of stuff, and just kind of like seeing how I can incorporate it into, drum ideas or guitar riffs or stuff like that. So I guess I would say like it's probably more, it's pretty freeing, I guess, for me to be in Paralytic, because I get to feel like my voice is heard. I feel like I get to, maybe propose some ideas that might be otherwise kind of weird for the genre that we're playing, that I get to be heard, and like sometimes those ideas work out and they're a little different. So,
Mm-hmm.
like I guess that's really all I would say for my experience though.
And with me,
Okay.
I'm still very early in my journey as a musician. We're coming up on a year
Yeah,
together now,
or a little over a year now, I think.
and this is my first band. I have a lot to learn. I've learned a lot, and I'm getting a little bit better every day, or try to at least.
Like the amount of effort that you put into this from the get-go and a lot of the pain that you've endured has been nothing short of
Miracle.
a miracle.
I tell you what, you sounded really good back in February when you played there in Tulsa.
Thank you.
Thanks. It's definitely worked
Um,
very hard at that.
oh yeah, you guys all sounded amazing that night. Um, so already kind of discussed that one, and all right. So where do you guys see yourselves musically in the future, both as individuals and as the band Paralytic?
I think we're just struggling to make it, day by day at this point. But long term, yeah, I want to see us, we're doing what every musician dreams of, being out there on the road, touring, seeing the world, making a living off of what we want to do. That's the ultimate goal.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. Like for me, my whole thing is like I would love for the band to at one point, be financially well off enough that like this is all we really have to do for work. Like that'd be great. Which we're trying to kind of work to get to that, but definitely always room for improvement, like we said.
Absolutely. So how about individually as musicians? Like, your growth and your journey? Where do you see yourself in the future individually?
Hopefully, still with Paralytic.
That's right. Yeah.
But I don't know. For me, it's a iffy thing because I don't know where I'm going to take myself because it all depends on what music I'm listening to. It's like what I started listening to when I first started playing drums and what I'm playing now are sort of similar, but also very different. It used to be, just hard rock and thrash and just all about rage and testosterone, but now there's a lot more, progressive stuff and more melody and musicality, and that's translated so well over the years. So I have no idea. I just know I'm excited to see where it all takes me. And for these two, I'm very excited to see because just in the year that we've been playing with him, from where he started playing to where he is now, is leaps and bounds. It's incredible in just a year's time. I mean, with him, he was barely a beginner at bass when we first started, and now he's on par with some of these guys I've seen that have played for years and years. No question.
Oh, thank you.
No, yeah. So just
Yep.
keep practicing, keep going forward, keep working at it. I know there's got to be bands that hate that W word, but
It too sometimes.
Yeah.
he's got to keep going though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You have to remember why you wanted to do it in the first place, and that's all worth it.
For sure.
Absolutely. So, from the perspective of the band, what would you say your mission statement would be?
I mean, like when I first started the band, really our original only goal was just to, be able to use a bunch of different genres to write what we want. And I think at this point, a little bit, now really the only I guess stance we've taken on anything is just that we're, we don't like people that cause drama for no reason. And we don't like, people that go out and try to hurt others because that's, none of us are about that. So I feel like through our music, we try to kind of explain feeling that either anger or, just disappointment with, how sometimes people treat each other. And then, also just coming to terms with our own shortcomings. Time is the Enemy is, the name of our album and one of our songs. And that song specifically is about, when I was younger, some of the, drinking issues that I had, being in the military for a while. But, I think that really just our main goal is to, get people grooving to a beat and, happy to be playing around at a show or something.
Okay. So I'm going to skip one and go to this next one then. Without going into the details regarding hot topics such as politics, religion, or any of those other debatable hot topics, describe the morals of the band.
So we believe in just being a decent human. That goes a long way,
Yeah.
especially in today's world. And if we can have a good time and share that with as many people as possible, then I think we've accomplished our goals.
Well said. I would agree with that for sure.
I couldn't have said it.
Right on. So then, this one where I want you guys to just totally open up and go into some detail. When you guys write your music, and we'll break it down, the lyrical aspect. How do you write your music? Do you write it with actual lyrics, meaningful lyrics in mind, or you guys write it from just whatever pops in your head?
So kind of a little bit of both. So when we first wrote our EP, our original vocalist and I, when we first were coming up with the lyrics, kind of did so in like a freestyle kind of method after we had already written like the verses, choruses, and all the rest of the instrumental for the song.
Hmm.
So like for those ones, it was kind of more just what was popping up in our head. But for like the other half of our album that we wound up releasing, we actually wound up mostly writing those lyrics first and then coming up with an instrumental behind them. So I feel like we probably, I guess I'd say we'd probably do a bit of both, just kind of dependent on how everybody's, whatever brainstorm we've got going on. Because like sometimes I'll come up with some lyric ideas, but like sometimes he'll have a riff, or Alex will have a drum idea or something like that, and we'll just kind of play off of that and see what we can do with it.
Okay. How about musically then? When you write the riffs and stuff, do you write it more of like thinking just straightforward, or do you write it to be more melodical, or like 3 Days Grace versus Tool, per se? How do you guys write your actual music?
Most of the time, it starts, at least with us, it's been a guitar riff with Mike, our original guitar player. It was idea after idea, and then some of these were already, he had ideas for guitar parts, bass parts, and then a rough idea for drums. And then sometimes with songs like Time Is the Enemy, we just played whatever came to our head. So sometimes it's a lot of just in the moment and feeling it and then going with it. And then other times it's, hey, let's try something a little weird here just to throw a kink in the chain here. It's all about being a little different and keeping things fresh and exciting, not just for us, but for people who listen to our music too.
Oh yeah. So describe your music. Like, what does your music actually sound like? Your styles, like different time signatures, or do you do like how do you play your music? Describe it for us.
Oh, a lot of it's by feel. I mean, yes, there's definitely some progressive odd time stuff or meter or tempo changes and stuff like that. But we never, aside from maybe one section of the song, sat down and had to map out what everything is. There's definitely elements of the hard rock stuff, and there's some elements of hardcore bands and progressive bands, even some thrash moments, and some definitely some new metal influences in a lot of the stuff too. So we're all over the place. If there's an idea from a song that we like somewhere, but it's not stylistically what people would expect from a metal band, screw it, we'll throw it in there. I mean, yeah. Again, it goes back to that willing to try new things out to keep things fresh for us and exciting. There's enough AC/DCs out there in the world. No shade to AC/DC at all.
And keep it up, you'll be on the highway to hell. Oh, so different ways of there's multiple ways to keep a song interesting. Do you guys keep it like structurally the same, like normally same whatever, like your A, B, C, whatever, like verse, chorus, stuff like that. 8 bar, 8 bar, or do you guys like change it up, like 16 bar, 24 bar? It just they keep it weird.
Some
There's a mix
songs
of
do
everything.
Traditional structures, and then there's a couple that don't at all. It usually has a lot to do with how the lyrics are structured, so that way it all flows together. And then there's a little bit of a chance for a guitar or for the drums or for the bass to shine. But a lot of it's like I'd probably say maybe 75% of the songs follow at least somewhat of a similar structure, and then bits within those songs that change up just to make it more confusing for us.
Oh, when you can confuse your own bandmates, that's a win.
Oh yeah,
Constantly happens to him all the time.
it's true.
And to I've worked with your drumming, and some of your stuff is just amazing. Like one of Raven's songs that he had me trying to play is just I couldn't keep up with you, man. You're just like right in that pocket, and even without the bass player, I don't think there's a bass player on that demo of Rain, but you're just like right in that pocket and finding those ways to just be different.
I appreciate that. I don't feel like it's, especially with some of those, I don't feel like it's anything crazy. Like anybody can go do 98%, really 100% of all the stuff that I've done on the recordings. It's just some of it takes a bit more work than some of the others. I mean, songs like Nowhere to Hide or even IHE from our album, I know I could teach him to play it, or I could teach him to play it, but
Debatable.
most of it.
You just got to put that work in and actually learn it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe that's part of my problem, is just not putting that work in to learn it. Crap, I'm telling on myself. So Michael Rogers had asked. Michael Rogers had asked. He said a lot of bands struggle getting past just driving riffs. How do you feel about yourselves from a lyric perspective?
I I try really hard, like at least for me personally, I want to write lyrics that people can either relate to and understand, or it can kind of get them in their emotions, and like they can feel the song the way that I feel it when I perform them. Some of the songs that we have are very personal to me, so some of them are probably a little more emotional and a little more like thought out lyrics probably, whereas some of them they're a little more angry, and so we're just trying to at that point just pretty much say mess shit up, let's get a circle pit going with some of them. But I would say like our song Better Place is a good example of, I feel like kind of us trying to be a little more soft spoken, but also kind of bring up something that everybody I feel like can relate to. That song's personally about when my grandfather passed away from Alzheimer's, and me kind of trying to come to terms with it. And I feel like pretty much everybody can relate to losing a loved one, unexpectedly, or just losing someone and it really hurting them, and then not knowing what to do with their life after that. And kind of writing that song kind of helped me out personally, just because it helped me kind of feel like I was able to say what I needed to say. And I'm kind of rambling now, but
Go for it.
I feel like trying to have like some of it where I'm kind of more focused on the lyrics than the instrumental, because like Better Place, it's a little bit more of a simpler like bass riff, but I feel like the lyrics are really meaningful, whereas we have a song like Carnival, where it's a little angrier, and so I'm kind of more focused on the actual music and just trying to sound pissed off.
So why are you pissed off in that song? What makes it so angry?
The context behind the lyrics and what some of the songs are about.
Yeah, so some of the songs are kind of a more personal nature, and it's a really good kind of like gateway to be able to express myself without getting into any trouble with being angry with people in person. So I get it out in the little screamy screams, but there's a few things that have just kind of happened throughout my life, or happened throughout his life, or just stuff where you kind of need that almost conduit to vent. And that's kind of what this band has been for me partially as well, is, anytime that I've just come across something in life that, has really rubbed me the wrong way, or, I've been disrespected by somebody, or, it could be a plethora of things, but just being able to kind of get behind pen and paper and just write it out and then make it something has been, honestly great for me. I feel like these guys can kind of relate a little bit on that too, but
lyrically, we're also a little bit. I mean, granted, most of these songs are about dark, depressing, or sad or angry things, but it's a bit dynamic and in some of the subjects we talk about. Some of those songs are just about straight. I want to do violent things to you, or and then some of the ones are a bit more angry at yourself, or depressed, or sad that loved ones have passed away, and it's all over the map, the whole gamut of negative emotions, and giving everybody a chance to work through something. That there's a song for somebody somewhere to help work you through it.
Okay. I'm going to throw one in here, and not throwing anybody under the bus, definitely not talking negative, but I want you to tell me about what happened for that one shirt design that you had at the show in Tulsa in February.
Oh, it's really simple.
yeah.
So we called it the Raven Special for a guitar player who's not with us anymore. But what had happened, it was an innocent mistake that honestly turned into a great idea. So that's usually what happens. Best mistakes turn into the greatest ideas. But we were making T-shirts, just our regular logo T-shirts, and we were just bleaching, taking brushes, dipping them in bleach, and then putting it on the shirt and kind of doing it sort of tie-dye, but not really tie-dye. And he accidentally knocked over a cup of bleach onto the shirt. And luckily enough, it managed to mostly avoid the logo, and it kind of looked cool. And then we went to our first show at the venue. And we had a couple of people asking about the shirt because it looked so cool. And so we were like, well, maybe we should start doing some more of these too. And they've been pretty successful so far. Now it's got that real tie-dye look to it, but still there's that off beige color.
Yeah, it just shows, though, how important it is to embrace certain mistakes, or accidents or whatever. It's just, you had an accident, you took it and turned it into something that's actually making you money.
It's happened with a lot of musical ideas too. Is one part that turns into an accident, that's like, wait, play that again. And then if you're lucky enough, they remember what they played.
And heck, that was pretty much all of old friends for me.
You're in practice, you do something, just like that, and all of a sudden, somebody turns around or whatever. It's like, what was that you just played? I don't know.
We'll figure it out and play it again, and then
we're gonna record it so we don't forget it again.
Exactly. And then we lose the recording, and then we're screwed.
And then we forgot it.
Sounds like a bunch of ADHD to me.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, I think that could be very accurately how you describe Paralytic as a band, is just a clusterfuck of ADHD. So,
yeah. Once I for this, so.
That's right. I want some of that, yeah. Oh, look, a chicken.
What? Where?
Right here.
Okay, so I'm going to skip ahead several of these questions, though. I want to get your all's individual thoughts on solos. There's certain people that'll be like, oh, I think, if you're going to play, especially like cover songs, or, even like your own songs, if you put a solo on the song and record it, put it on an album, release it, there's certain people, certain bands that think that solo is going to be played like that every time. But then there's other people, like myself, who believe that a solo is an expression of your emotions for that particular moment. So like go down the line or whatever. And how do you feel about solos? Keep it as written or play it via emotions?
Definitely, what you said kind of aligns with how I look at it. Uh, I think that a solo, you know, in the beginning, solos were mostly improvised. I think that that's a important part of it, and expressing how you feel through that solo. Uh, it's okay to make changes. It's your solo. It's your music, and it's what we're all about here. We do whatever we want with our music because it's ours, and hopefully some other people like it. But I do think that it is okay to play whatever comes out when it comes to solos.
It
Nice.
kind of depends on the band for me. Like if it's a band like Black Label Society, where it's like the solos are never the same, even though it just sounds like a bunch of shredding, I feel like it's okay. But for some bands that have like really memorable or iconic solos, like Van Halen or stuff like that, I want to hear that solo again and again because it's just the first time you hear something like that, like Eruption or whatever, and you're like, oh, let me hear that again, please. But in our context for the music, I mean, just even for an example, we have a couple of songs that have guitar solos on it. And we've told them from the get go, like, you don't have to play what Mike played, you know, because it just wouldn't seem fair to have him try to learn a solo that somebody else has done when it's, that was their idea, how they felt in the moment, and try to force you to find that again for yourself as a new guy. And it's about 50-50. You've kind of taken some parts in some of those songs and, where you start off on the right idea and then you go do it. So I feel like that's also a really interesting take on it too, is, starting off somewhere and then going your own way or going your own way, then ending, a nice little mix is kind of interesting. You don't see a whole lot of that happening.
Yeah, I've definitely had to shape the solos a little bit to my style. Last guitarist, he's a great guitarist, and we've got some different styles. There were definitely a lot of things that he could play that were pretty challenging to me, and
Mhm.
some of it I was able to, get the hang of, and some of it I was able to make my own and leave my mark on it.
Okay. So we'll go back to Alex real quick, then we can get to you. Drum solos. Um, how do you feel on those? Like, would you rather try and imitate the other drummer play what they played, or would you rather put your own little twist on it?
I mean, I kind of imitate and steal from drummers regardless, whether it's a drum solo or the drum beat. But if it's a drum solo, do whatever because um, so I guarantee if I ever had to write a guitar or a drum solo, I would never have it the same because I couldn't remember what I was doing the entire night. Some of those guys that go on, world tours and play the same solo back to back, like it's the exact same thing. I have in awe every time I see it.
Hmm.
But at the same time, I'd also, this is just me, I'm kind of weird. I would rather hear just another song instead of a 4 or 5 minute guitar or a drum solo or a guitar solo for that matter. Because after 2-3 minutes, it's just like, okay, we know where this is going. And most of them follow the same tropes. And
He hits the skins.
He hits the skins. What's he going to do next? He's going to hit the cymbals. What's next? He's going to make the crowd participate and clap. What's next? Oh,
He's going to hit the skins again.
He's going to play really fast, and then that's it. And then
Double stroke rolls on the snare.
Yeah,
there we go.
The only time I ever really got wowed by a drum solo was Mickey D when he was playing with Motorhead. I don't know how he did it to this day, I'm still like stunned that I even saw it. But he was doing his thing, and the solo itself is your basic solo. But there was one part where he was hitting the cymbals, and then just starts throwing drumstick after drumstick after drumstick into the air behind him, and they all follow the same trajectory up into the line. And for like a solid, I don't know how many sticks he launched, like maybe like 10 to 15 or something, just rapidly. And I'm like, what the hell is this? And I can't find a video of it to save my life, so I feel like I'm imagining that. But
So what do they call that? There's a certain thing that they call that now. Like, no, it didn't happen.
Gaslighting.
The Mandela effect or something like that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that one.
I kind of like gaslighting yourself.
Gaslighting myself into believing it didn't exist. Even though I know I wasn't the only one that saw it.
Yes, you were. You're crazy.
I mean, yes, but
Yeah.
that's a whole different subject.
So, okay, gaslighting is the official, like, Webster's dictionary term, and
Modern term for it.
Mandela effect is the politically correct term.
The scientific term for it.
Yeah. So, what about you with the bass solos and stuff?
So I, to be honest, haven't really tried a whole lot of bass solos yet. But I've actually been kind of like learning how to play them a little bit now. So I'm hoping maybe with future music to maybe start incorporating that. I think honestly, when we first recorded the album, I was a little worried about my ability to sing and play at the same time because, you know, ADHD does run rampant in this band. So me doing both was pretty hard for me at first. So, you know, I tried to kind of keep everything pretty simple for the most part. But now that, you know, I feel I'm getting better as a bassist, you know, I'm starting to try to kind of pick up stuff to make things a little more, you know, groovy or complex here or there in spots where I don't have as much vocals or something like that. But, you know, I definitely think there's a spot for them. I just need to figure out how to execute them.
Incorporate and execute.
That's right.
How much do you listen to Cliff Burton from back in the day, early Metallica?
You know, I listen to some. Most of my bass influence, I feel like, probably comes from Joey Walzer from Devour the Day. They're probably my like go-to band to listen to for bass. Them and Sick Puppies as well, just because I really like the incorporation of, you know, bass tapping and slap pop and just all the different kinds of ways that they play bass in their music, but still make it sound, you know, really like hard rock and, you know, really metal. But I do listen to a little bit of like some of the earlier Metallica stuff, like stuff off Kill 'Em All, Ride the Lightning. You know, those are definitely albums that I still have circling around on my Spotify.
Oh yeah, ones like Anesthesia.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I swear, when I first, you know, started listening to that song, I was like, that is an interesting sounding electric guitar. Then only to find out, no, that's Cliff on
that's
bass.
That's how I felt the first time I heard on Master Puppets.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously the beginning of it, you can tell it's a bass, but then the rest of it during like the middle, it does not sound like a bass.
Mm-mm. Things you can do with that instrument.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's definitely very versatile, and I'm starting to learn that a little more as I, you know, continue to try to get better and practice and, you know, come up with riffs and stuff like that.
Must evolve beyond the Chunka Chunka riff.
Damn.
We're not in jazz band anymore. You don't have to do the walking bass line. Oh no, I love a good walking bass line. I grew up in jazz. So Oh, Micah Walker over here says some of the best music comes from a clusterfuck.
Absolutely.
I would definitely agree with that.
Oh, God.
My that was
Yeah.
paranoid to, I mean, you know,
Use anything with the DO, honestly.
Yeah, and I've played drums with Raven a little bit, and I agree that some of those best songs come from what seems like a clusterfuck, and it's just like hell yeah.
sometimes
Um,
it's like pulling teeth with your bandmates, and sometimes those turn out to be the best songs.
For sure.
oh yeah, kind of like a shirt design, huh?
Yeah.
Raven, if you're listening to this, I love you, Bubba. Just picking on you.
To be fair, he's easy to pick on.
Oh
He,
yeah,
ex- he accepts it like a champion.
he does. I was thinking that exact damn thing. Um, so Alex, back to you. Um, and I asked you this one as a drummer. Describe the equipment that you use, and describe your equipment. Like, what do you got for drums?
Okay, so for live shows, I've been using my Pearl acrylic kit recently,
Mhm.
just because I'm kind of getting slightly lazy and I'm getting tired of carrying around my big drum set, so it stays here at home. But the one that's here at home is a big, massive Yamaha kit, one of their oak kits, and I absolutely love it. It's also a lot of money, so I'm kind of scared to bring that out and anything happen to it anymore. First when I got it here, I wanted to hear it everywhere, and now I'm like, it's gonna stay at home.
Maybe this is the recording drum set.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
like, it does that part really well. And,
So, what do you got for like sizes and stuff like that?
so for the live kit, it's an 8-inch, 10-inch, 12-inch toms, and then a 16 floor tom, a 14-inch snare, and a 22-inch bass drum. And then here at home, it's all the same sizes except for there's an 18-inch floor tom, and then just for giggles, I have a little 6-inch one here just for fun. Set up right now, at least. I don't use it all the time, just to get my Neil Peart syndrome out.
Like your snare, so your snare drum, do you run 6 lug, 8 lug, 10 lug?
It's a 10, I think.
10?
It's a 14 by 7, 10 lug Tama copper snare.
Hmm.
It's amazing. I absolutely love it.
So when it comes to your snare tone, do you like it more dark and kind of loose, or do you like it nice, bright, tight snare?
Somewhere in the middle to high pitch. Kind of depends on the mood. Especially for us, it just needs to be something that's loud in your face, and but also be articulate and have pick up the very loud hits, the very quiet hits. Not that I'm great at playing quiet.
Okay. What do you got for a guitar rig over there?
Oh, I play Jackson guitars. I've got a Dinky DK2 Pro, the modern one. That's a mouthful. And also play a Jackson Warrior. Those are my main two guitars right now. For pedals, I keep it simple. I'm running a Zoom GX4 multi-effects and just running that into basic Marshall MG half stack.
Okay. How many strings do you play?
I play a 6 and a 7. We play in 2 tunings right now. We play in drop C and 6 string for that, and then drop A. That's where that 7 string comes in.
Okay. So how about bass rigs?
So I probably won't be able to give you as detailed specs as these two because they are much better at that than I am. But I have a Jackson 4-string, and I've got a Rogue 5-string. that I play, and then I run those out of a Big Muff distortion pedal and a noise gate
Okay.
through my amp with some overdrive, and that is about all I know about my music stuff. These guys are honestly helpful in helping me figure out my tone stuff.
Okay. So your noise gate, would that be a typical gate like what we put on Alex's drums doing live show? Like keeps it to where it's closed until you hit the string, like actually hit the string, and then it opens to allow that note through, or
Yeah, it's just to basically kind of cancel out kind of like the ambient humming noise that my bass will make if I don't have it. So
Mhm.
just kind of like if I go kind of hands free, like especially whenever we're doing our song IEG, where I don't have a bass part and it's just off of the drums and the guitar, and then I'm rapping over it. It's helpful because I don't have to like keep both of my hands on my bass to make sure that it's not just going really loud. So
Oh, yeah.
and not be touching it, and it'll not just be having a mind of its own.
He can do his little dance moves in safety.
Yeah.
So as a sound tech, I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Of course.
So from
I'm sure they
sound
do.
from a sound tech perspective, then Alex, when it comes to drums, are you good with triggers, or would you rather just use mics and gates?
I never used triggers, so I couldn't say for certain how that worked. I mean, I know how they work, but there's never been a context where I've needed one. So
Mhm.
it's all up to the sound guy. 100% of the time, whatever they ask me to do, I do it because they know the room better than I do, and they know how to make it sound good. So anything I can do to make their life easier and just make things faster for us, I'm all for.
Ditto.
Because
Yeah.
for us, it's
Yeah,
all
set
about
changes and stuff.
Yeah.
it's as fast as efficient as we can make
And
ourselves, and as
moving
fast as we
fluidly
can.
as possible. Yeah.
So
Something
you ever
quickly.
feel that there might be a time? Do you feel that there would ever be a time that you might incorporate triggers and samples and stuff into your music, or you just feel straight drums? That's it.
In Paralytic, no, but at least for triggers, but for like sound samples, I mean, I couldn't say for certain. I mean, everything changes, so I mean, who knows? Maybe on this next album that we start writing, maybe there'll be some points where I need to have like a little sample pad next to us or a little laptop. I don't know. As for triggers, I really didn't say. I'm not that fast of a player, so I mean, I don't see me needing triggers for my bass drums and for snare drums. The only thing I could think for is if I'm trying to add, one of those big snare bombs that people are doing nowadays.
Hmm.
But I feel
Or
like,
maybe certain effects on the toms.
yeah, trying to do it in here tonight.
So how do you guys feel like as a band, and then maybe some of your own opinions, um, which is actually kind of a hot topic in the music industry, having tracks like, you know, a good band that I like, I know it's one of those debatable bands, but Falling in Reverse is one of them. And, they were in the spotlight a while back ago where they had an issue, a laptop either was on a wrong flight. I think it was on a wrong flight or something, but it affected a lot of the show because, like, they'll use a track to start a song, and then, all of a sudden it just goes right into a full force, full band. Are you guys okay with stuff like that, or do you think it needs to be like just play the music?
I mean, I guess for me it does come down again to that situational thing where some bands it works like Falling in Reverse, and for some bands like Slayer or Metallica, I just don't see it. Uh,
Mhm.
for us and for some of these more local bands, especially for some of these places I play, I feel like sometimes it's kind of a detriment, but that's me. It's one more thing to set up and one more thing to go wrong. And one more thing you got to keep track of. Well, really 7 different things you got to keep track of on top of that. And you have to either have the drummer do it or running the tracks during the show as well, or hope you have somebody who knows how to hit the space bar.
Yeah.
At the right time.
Yeah, at the right time.
Right.
And when you get it to stop and know how to fix it if something goes wrong, because something always goes wrong.
I definitely think that like backing tracks do sound cool with some bands, but yeah, for us, I don't know yet. I mean, I feel like it's something that we might kind of experiment with in the future, maybe. But I mean, I couldn't say for certain. But like, I feel like some bands are really good at pulling it off. I feel like some bands are not quite as much. I guess I'd probably just agree with Alex mostly in saying that, you know, I think it's just kind of like a per band thing.
I mean, there's definitely pros and cons to both. I mean, it's a consistent
Mhm.
show on tracks, and you know, you're getting stuff that sounds like the album, and some people like that, some people don't. Or other bands, it's you never know what you're gonna get, and it kind of depends. You know, Kiss or Led Zeppelin. You know, consistency or improv. I mean, both have their
Okay.
merits, and you know, it kind of depends on what the band wants, and that's all that really matters. It's just if the band's happy, then go for it.
Right on. Yeah, you're talking about, having to hit that space bar at just the right time and stuff like that. You know, from the big band's perspective, when you got the full audio, you got the full lighting and all that, inner monitors, click tracks, the whole 9 yards. Everything has to be down to, time code, like literally everything on time for pyro, for the lights, for hitting that space bar per se. Like it's all like precise. And like you said, 1, 2, 7, whatever different ways for those gremlins.
Yeah. There's some bands that do, the whole light show and the pyro show without the time codes and without the metronome, and that's incredible. I mean, that's something that obviously everybody, including the lighting director and the pyro guys, have to rehearse together very, very well to avoid having a fried front man on the stage.
Yeah.
And a very
Poor James.
yeah. I can only imagine.
Mm-mm. Um, yeah, no, thank you. I don't want to imagine that one. So,
No, I
how do
don't.
you how do you guys feel about using click in your ears?
I mean, we just kind of started using in-ear monitors, so
Yeah.
we don't really use I guess we don't really do a click track, but uh, you know, um, I
For
guess,
recordings, we do it just for consistency, for my sake and for consistency's sake. But live, at least I can't speak for these two, but how I feel is for us, there's not a whole lot of a reason for it. And again, it's one more thing to go wrong for us, and we don't have time to sit there and try to troubleshoot something when we've got 30, 45 minutes, sometimes an hour to play. And there's also an excitement and an energy when you push and pull the tempos in these songs. Sometimes, most of the time, it's a little too fast. Sorry, I can't help it. I swear I'm playing the song exactly how it was on the
it only
album.
hurts on IHE.
And then I'll go back and listen to it, and I'm like, oh, I played that way too fast. So
We'll blame it on the bass.
Wait,
No, we'll
no,
blame it on the drums.
no, let's blame it on the drum.
it's me. I fully own that 100%.
Everything else, that's on the bass.
Yeah. I mean, that's probably true.
All the technical problems, it's his fault.
Yeah, probably. I got hungry and chewed on the wires.
I thought it was a bass player I thought it was the drummer that needed the stacks. So I guess now we got to start bringing stacks for the basses too. Jeez.
That's right.
Mhm.
They just leave me shut alone in a cold, dark room. I just get pulled out whenever they need me for stuff.
It's a double whammy though, because since he's the bass player, we don't need him, but it's also because he's a vocalist, so we do need him. It's that catch-22.
Being the guy that nobody needs, but also the guy that we do need, kind of.
Yeah.
Give him a wireless mic in the closet. He'll be okay.
Some goldfish.
Some goldfish. Some hot fries.
That's right.
So, in life and as musicians, we all have people who influence us. Um, we'll start individually, and then you guys can answer as a band afterwards. But start down the line. Who are your individual personal influences? You know, like an author or an actor or family member or something. And then who are your musical influences? Like Dave Grohl or whoever.
So personally, I have some pretty great family members, like my dad and my grandpa, that I look up to. Beyond that, just going to musically, I'm a big fan of Chuck Schuldner's work. Dimebag Darrell with Pantera and Damage Plan. Yes. I'd say Chuck Schuldner and Dimebag Darrell are my biggest inspirations. And also, I feel like if you are a guitarist, you have to be inspired by Metallica.
So, whether you want to be or not.
Yep.
I mean, Mr. Hammett is an excellent guitarist.
He is too, but there's something to be said about James as well. He's a phenomenal rhythm player.
He is.
Oh, he is.
And the fact that he can do that all while singing too is nothing short of amazing.
Dude, for real.
Right.
I don't know how he's playing songs like Master of Puppets or like Disposable Heroes or anything.
Yeah,
By Fire.
half of the things that they have on their discography, honestly.
Yeah, even some of the
Battery.
Album, yeah, Battery. Oh my god, like, I couldn't imagine trying to play Battery and sing at the same time.
Disposable Heroes is another one I wouldn't want to try to do at the same
Oh,
time.
No. The only one I could see it being like a slight breeze while talking is either most of the stuff off the Black Album or Dyer's Eve, because most of the time when he's singing, he's just
I was thinking like
power
Sad But
chords.
True or something. Yeah.
Nothing else matters.
Yeah, that one I could see being a little bit more of a challenge because it's a bit more of a pretty melody while you're singing as well. But again, I'm also not a guitar player, so I couldn't tell you.
Real quick, I think that was actually a really, really good song that would be cool for him to play tracks with, just to get that string fill that Michael came in and wrote for that song.
Mhm.
Just to have that element there. Metallic, if you're listening, why don't you try that sometime? Do a live Nothing Else Matters and put the string section with it.
It's almost like they did twice.
Without the rest of the orchestra.
I don't know. I listen to those versions more often than the album version sometimes.
Yeah, the first one was an absolute killer. It was amazing.
Got the old beat up CD.
So the next one.
So for me, I'm kind of in the same boat as Landon. My dad's probably like my biggest influence in life, just because, he's that guy that like is always putting people up. Like even if he's having like a real crap day, like he's gonna make sure that you're doing all right and like that you're taken care of, because that's just the kind of guy he is. And so like I really do aspire to be like that. Probably in music, I would say my biggest influences for bass are probably Joey Walzer and Emma Onzai from Devour the Day and then Sick Puppies, just because they are phenomenal bassists, and like just some of the scales they're playing, some of the riffs they come up with are just totally wild to me, and I would love to be able to play like them. Uh, Music, like vocally, probably. I don't know. I really like a lot of like I probably get a lot of like my heavier vocals that I do from like deathcore people that I like Tom Barber or you know, um, couldn't really think of anybody else, but like Tom Barber's probably who I go to for like my heavier influence, I guess. And
Mhm.
then for like my lighter influence, probably uh, probably also from Sick Puppies, Brian, their new front man. I really like his clean singing and how he sings and
Mhm.
their new stuff. So but I feel like I get my influence vocally from a lot of stuff because like I listen to a lot of country, rap, metal, rock, and so I just kind of pull where I can from pretty much whatever I think I might be able to do.
Mhm. And so, listen to all that. I'm assuming that that would have an effect, some way on your bass playing too. Then.
Yeah, I would definitely say it does too. Because sometimes for like a softer track, I may come up with something a little bit more, not like crazy hard to play, but that just you know sounds good to me and like I feel it almost emotionally. Uh,
Hmm.
but I might get that from like if I'm writing something sad, I may get that from like a sad country song or something like that. But if I'm really upset, I might get that from like a rap song or deathcore or metalcore or whatever I'm listening to at the time. So
Hmm.
I'd say I think it just kind of depends on what I'm listening to at the time, I guess.
Okay. So before we get to Alex, let me ask you this one. For all the other bands out there, do you think it would be important for okay, not necessarily bands, but just the musicians? Do you think it's important that they at least listen to a wide variety of music? Would that be
Um,
like your suggestion?
I wouldn't say that it's like necessary, necessarily just because like I get that, some genres just don't really pop to some people. But I
Hmm.
think for me, it's really helped me become a more well-rounded musician, just because I've been able to listen to things, differently and kind of with a different mindset. Just because, I may hear something in a country song that I'm like, oh, I kind of heard that scale in this metal song, or I'll hear like a rap song and be like, oh, I kind of heard that in this really like cool rock song that I really like. Like that's kind of similar, and I feel like it leaves way to kind of draw those comparisons and be like, oh, like I could kind of use this in my writing or something kind of like this. Just because like some of the stuff that I came up with for like our bass lines and some of our music, I was listening to more kind of like soft rock, pop, punk, and stuff like that. To kind of come up with ideas for something a little softer or maybe sad, but then like coming up with stuff like IHE or Nowhere to Hide, where it's a little more hard charging. I was kind of going through like kind of the more angrier music that I like. That yeah, I guess it's just I would say it's kind of on a spectrum. Like it's definitely not a bad thing to incorporate other types of music, but you definitely don't have to necessarily step outside of your genre if it's not what you're wanting to do either.
I would say it's a great idea to branch out and listen, even if you don't use something from some song or whatever. Like if you hear a country song that you really like, but you're like, I can't use this in my deathcore song. You might figure out something like how they play their instrument that can translate to playing something better or like playing something easier for you. And even
Hmm.
if it's not necessarily like a musical thing that you're taking away from it, but maybe like uh, a technical aspect of like you're playing, or even like vocal harmonies. Like I'm sort of like most country artists have, they have like, the highs and the basic melody and then the lower melody, and then you got some of these metalcore, deathcore screamers who are doing the really high pitched black metal stuff, and then like the really deep and low gutturals. I mean, that's the same concept.
Mhm.
So 100%, there's always something you can take elsewhere, even if it's not heard in music, that can make you a more well-rounded player. If I'd never listened to Death or Dream Theater, I never would have gotten anywhere near the level that I'm at now.
Absolutely. Which Dream Theater, Mike Portnoy or Mike Mangini? Or
Both.
both?
I love them both. I mean,
Both.
obviously, I like Portnoy's a bit more, but there's lots of the second era with Mangini that are really interesting and cool too. There's something to be taken for both of them.
I'd seen the video several years ago where Mike Mangini was doing an interview in a radio station, and they brought him like buckets and trash cans and stuff like that, and he just busted out right there and just played the whole thing like a drum set.
Mm-hmm. He's a phenomenal player. He's just a different style, and so the sound of the band changed because they had a different drummer. I mean, it's that, and it was only one person running the ship instead of two people, and you can hear that difference night and day now that Portnoy's back in the band. I mean, it's almost like you could cut out the middle years of Mangini and maybe two separate bands, and so I love them both for different reasons. It's just the songs with Portnoy's time are a bit more emotional and dramatic, and then the ones with Mangini are more technical and advanced, and there's definitely some emotion in there, don't get me wrong, but it's definitely a lot more technicality.
Definitely. So back to the influences then. Who are your life influences and your influences for music?
So my influences in life are definitely my parents. Mom always worked, so I mean, worked their ass off to keep everybody, happy, yeah, sheltered and fed. I mean, that's a major influence for me. And then of course, Dad as a parent and then as a musician. I mean, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be in music. I mean, seeing him play up on the stage as a guitar player, as a bass player, as a drummer, all through the years was definitely an inspiration. And then, of course, if there wasn't Metallica and Lars, I would not be playing drums at all either. He was the first one that I fell in love with and started me down this whole journey. Then there was, both the Slayers drummers, Paul and Dave, Gar Samuelson and Nick Mensa from Megadeth. I mean, as well as a lot of the other drummers they've had. Charlie Panofsky from Anthrax is a big one. Mike Portnoy, Mike Mangini, Sean Reinert from Cynic and Death, Gene Hoglan from Death, Fear, One Stint in Fear Factory, Death Clock, Testament, strapping on that. I mean, he's done a lot too, but he's probably the biggest one right now. And then, of course, the Rev from Avenged Sevenfold and their current drummer, Brooks Rackham. And there's a long list. It's never ending. I could sit here and talk like for 20 minutes solid, like the entire list. I mean,
And then still forget some. And you mentioned the difference in sounds like with Dream Theater, and then you mentioned Avenged Sevenfold, and like the difference in the overall band sound between era of the Rev and era of Brooks. Like it's two totally different bands, but yet both are amazing bands. But still the same band, amazing band, and both amazing drummers. You can't take away from either one of them.
oh no, especially not when you're Brooks and your first opening statement as a drummer for the band is the song "The Stage" and that album. I mean, from the get go, as soon as you heard that first opening drum beat, you're like, oh god, yeah, sign me up. It's amazing. I don't know how you're doing this, but I want to know. And then you see videos and you're like, I'm blown away.
No doubt. Um, then I got to say, I think so far you're the first one that has ever mentioned Lars as an influence, and like you mentioned him right off the bat.
Oh, no question.
He's good in his own way, and yeah, he still gets a lot of hate.
Oh no, it's a lot of it's pretty well deserved. I'm not going to sugarcoat it for the man. I mean, but at the same time, he's been around for like what 40 something years now. And he's made so many millions of dollars an album sale, and then was on drums for 6 of the most iconic albums in human history. I mean, got to give the man credit where it's due. Even if some of it's simple as fuck. I mean, it works in the context of their band.
Mm-hmm. So we're gonna go, all of you guys. We're gonna keep on the topic of Lars though, but several years back, LimeWire.
Yeah, we just saw him in the comments.
Lars. Yeah. So, how do you guys feel about people in your music, and especially like with some of the AI stuff, and then some of the stuff where like I've seen where they're talking about some of these music apps. You put your song on there, you do your song, but then because of the terms and conditions, it's open where other people have access to your song and can remix it. Um, you know, how do you feel about people using your music, or like back in the day with LimeWire, LimeWire and the other one, Naps. Oh yeah, it was Napster. Being able to share your music versus where you can just get it on Spotify or Pandora. They're actually taking the music and putting it on their own CD, stuff like that. How do you guys feel about that?
I mean, to be honest, I mean, LimeWire and Napster really aren't that different from Spotify and Amazon. The only difference is like we get like maybe a tenth of a penny sometimes from Spotify. So
Sometimes.
Sometimes it's a tenth of a penny. Sometimes it is 1 penny, and then sometimes it's even 100th of a penny. It's never consistent. So, but for AI in music, I don't think it has a place. I can't say anything about artwork because we use AI to help do our Time is the Enemy album cover. That's most of it. But I don't agree that people have a right to remix or steal your songs without permission. It's because then they pass it off as their work and not yours. And very rarely do you see credits to the original artist, or if you do, they're buried underneath the whole layer of other fluff. Yeah, fluff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with AI being in music. Like, I mean, if it works for others, cool. Me personally, like, I feel like I lose some of the, genuineness of our lyrics and what we're playing if we plug it in and kind of have something else do it versus us kind of pouring over the time and the effort into trying to make the music be what we want it to be on our own.
I could see it being helpful for somebody that doesn't have a band, maybe.
Yeah.
Or or sometimes just needing a little inspiration for like an idea they have in their head that's just not fully there. But as like a main tool, no, for a band.
I feel like once you take the human aspects out of the music, it isn't really music anymore. I think it's really cool. I'm not going to get into all of my conspiracy theories, but the way that frequencies are so tied to our existence here in ways that we don't realize, and music, sound itself, these are all frequencies. I think that music is a very human thing. I think it's something that we're blessed with the ability to make, and I don't think that we should let the the old AIs get a hold of it.
Sky's going to take over the world already. They can't get our music.
Yeah,
That's right. But I'll be damned if they're blasting Trapped whenever they start barging in on us.
Oh, God.
A remix of Trapped.
That just. That'd be, oh, God, that'd be rough.
I might have to try that sometime, just see if I can remix some Paralytic and turn it into something that's Taylor Swift.
I mean, I think you'd be the first person interested to do it, so.
I mean, it'd be fun. So Paisley says to tell him, Landry. Or Landon, sorry. Tell him, Landon. What are you supposed to tell?
I'm not exactly sure what I'm telling them.
Oh, no, I
but
think you're
I think
supposed to tell Alex that Lars sucks, I think is what she's trying to get you to do.
Either that or she's probably preached about AI. One of the few, who knows.
Yeah. One of those.
Just leave another comment like yes or something like that, so we know it's for both.
Yeah, Paisley, be specific there.
There's a lot of things.
Keep in mind ADHD.
Yeah.
Yeah, keep in mind it's ADHD over here, so.
Know what's going on?
Exactly. It's like babysitting two small children sometimes.
No, they said both.
I'm definitely a little extra sometimes too. Maybe a bit more than a little than I care doing it. But
So Landon Paisley says both. And then, come on, Alex, you can do better. You know what? There you go. That was on screen.
it's a love-hate relationship, damn it.
Sounds like it.
I mean, hey, if I hadn't gone my life without hearing Battery or For Whom the Bell Tolls, I would not be here. So, I mean,
There's that.
And Battery. Holy shit. That is a hell of a song.
oh God, yes.
So, let's go into some background stuff for behind the scenes. What do you look for? Like if you was to look for a manager, a producer, or a promoter, what would you look for in those people?
I mean, for a producer, we're kind of doing that ourselves. So, I mean, I don't know if I could answer that one, but for a manager, it would have to be somebody that cares about this band as much as we do. I mean, if you're putting in a half-assed effort to help us, anywhere, then what's the point? We're wasting our time and your time, and then ultimately our money. So, want somebody that wants to see us go, the distance and as far as we can take it. For promoters, it's people that do more than just hand off the tickets to the bands and say good luck. I've had my fair share of that, and that bugs me to no end. It's like, sure, we'll do our part, and it's expected that the bands do our part. But if the promoter's just, putting a tag on social media or something and not doing much else for it, I mean, it's kind of
if they're not like consistently promoting it themselves.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. Say it louder for the others to hear, like the ones that's not paying attention in the back.
Put in the effort. If you care, work for it.
Well, I mean, plus, if the promoter cares, the bands care more, I feel like. It's just, I feel like if you've got a promoter that, is as passionate about music as the bands themselves are, I think you're going to have a better show for it, just because everybody's moods are going to be better and everybody's going to be feeling a lot happier and feeling a lot more content with the work that's being put out. So,
just makes everybody more excited for it. And then
for sure,
it just increases the chance of repeat business.
Absolutely.
And then the important thing for promoters that I can say is, if you say you're going to pay your band's money, pay them money, because we've had that happen in the past with another promoter who will rename nameless, who got us some shows at 89th Street and in Enid and the Snug Lounge, who did not hold up her end of the bargain at all, and then tried to back out of paying even just like gas money for a band that had come out of Arkansas
or Kansas City.
Yeah. Got bands to come out from way out of state, out of their way, and barely had to twist her arm and leg from all, not just us, but from like
the other bands playing with us too.
Yeah, the other 4 or 5 bands that were playing with us all had to be like, at least pay them what we were going to pay us.
Like help them down the road or something.
Yeah.
I think the
And I got to apologize for mine. Like, there's a lot of it that I feel bad on that, but a lot of it came down to a lack of ticket sales, But
And
there was a
that's
mistake on my part where I charged $25 a ticket instead of 15. Like, I jumped out of 15, and it just started selling more.
that's
But
just
because of the lack of sales, it made it hard.
It wasn't like you were trying to keep money out of anything, and we don't hold it against you. I mean, for your first show, it went rather well. A couple of minor hiccups here and there with some of the other bands, Well, I say minor. I don't know. I was kind of like seething in the corner a little bit with some of them when they were taking forever to get their stuff off the stage, but that's a personal thing. But no, that was never anything that we went in expecting it from, or expecting anything out of it other than the fact that we got to play our first show in Tulsa.
Right. And I was glad you guys did. It's just, I had my fingers crossed, and I tried to, like I did sales and stuff like, Black Friday and stuff like that. And it's just like, come on, guys, please buy some tickets because I want to pay these guys. It is just, by the time all the bills are paid and stuff, it's so important that, when we try and provide local music, whether it's from the band or promoter or, whoever, even just a booking agent, we need the local support. We need people to buy the tickets, to show up and support us, because it's not just the band, it's everybody that's there that's affected.
Yeah. And I mean, it was a tough sell for us. I mean, we're nobody's in Tulsa, so the fact that we managed to sell as many as we did, I think short of amazing.
I think the weather might have had a little bit more to play too.
I think as
Probably
it started
a little,
going on,
yeah.
it definitely had a bit more to do
When
with
it
it.
started snowing down, yeah.
I know I was definitely concerned.
I wasn't really expecting a snowstorm that day back in November.
I wasn't expecting a snowstorm, just like a little bit. But as soon as I look outside and I see like a solid like 8 or like half an inch of snow on some of these cars, I'm like, oh, this is bad.
And fun fact: we ended up breaking down in that
Oh,
night.
We did.
Yeah. I don't. Yeah, well,
That
I
was
guess
our-
technically yes, we did break down, but it started out as an innocent little gas stop, turned into a bigger problem.
Like we were there for like 2.5 hours.
Mhm.
Jeez.
It just didn't want to start.
At least you guys finally. What?
We made it home that night. That's all that really.
No, we made it home
matters.
that morning.
Well, yeah, that morning, but
I mean, by the time pretty much everybody left, it was
Sun was
already
out.
morning.
Yeah, the sun was up.
I'm just, I'm thankful you guys made it home, because that was one of my big worries was, something happening to somebody on their way home from my show.
Oh yeah, I think we were.
I would have felt bad.
Bad Frogs or one of those other bands that had to drive like 3-4
Oh, yeah,
hours
like-
of the way.
yeah, I was just say because they came from like real far away. Yeah.
Although realistically, they were probably smarter and actually got hotel rooms. I didn't tell them they were going to have 5 people in a four-person night room.
And yeah, with them leaving early, I was okay with that.
Yeah.
But
I grew up in the era where it was like you got to stay for the whole show, but like and something like that, 100%. I'm like, dude, I would have left like as soon as we were done
Oh
playing.
yeah.
As soon as I started seeing the snow
If we
like
were
start to
that
get
far
worse and
away.
worse, I'd
Mhm.
like, go 100%.
Yeah.
I'm glad I kept you guys there for the co-headliner then.
I mean, we wouldn't have left.
No.
We're not.
No,
Used
just
to something going wrong every single show. Is at this point, it's just just roll with
It's
it.
what is it going to be this time?
Yes, and that one,
what
unfortunately,
gremlin is
vehicle issues in snow.
Yeah.
what gremlin is coming out.
Mhm.
It was a
So-
Wonderland.
Yeah, I don't know if I call it Wonderland, but it was definitely winter.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Again,
there's a wonderland inside.
yes, that's right.
So on the topic of staying for the show, you guys believe in that, when it's safe to do so, or like I understand, this band has a member that has to get to work, early the next morning, and they got to. Do you think that? Let's just say it was Landon. Do you think, and you guys played early and in Oklahoma City, but Landon had to get up and go to work early? Would that be fair for the whole band to leave, or do you think it should just be like Landon gets to the show on his own and then leaves on his own? That way you both can still stay and enjoy it. Like, what are all your thoughts on that subject?
I used to be part of that mentality, or that old school thing from like when I first started was if you're there for the show, you're there for the whole thing, regardless of whether you got work in the morning or not. It was just, it was coming, and it's either you make arrangements at work or you just suffer. But it kind of changed as I've gotten older, a bit more relaxed and understanding, especially as I've had to be the one to wake up at 4 a.m. to go to work after getting home at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
So. For that instance, I would say that at least somebody from the band needs to stay. If not most of the band, at least somebody, because it's a sign of respect. I mean, especially if you're playing first, you gotta
Mhm.
stay. So it's a sign of respect, because especially if the other bands showed up on time like they're supposed to watch you play, it's only fair.
Oh yeah.
And plus, it gives you a chance to interact with more people in the audience that came to your show, and with the other bands and the members of the staff, and the promoters as well. It's all just a chance for networking.
And at the end of the day, the more that you can stay and support other people, the more support you're going to get yourself. And that's what local music's really all about. It's how we survive. Is everybody supports each other, and it's almost like a big family when you're at a show. Everybody's working together, and
If you're the guy that's the asshole, then nobody wants to work with you again.
Oh yeah. No, for sure. I mean, like, yeah.
It's the band that we played with down in Texas.
Oh yeah,
It's like the band that was immediately right after us. Were
Yeah,
so rough.
show
I mean,
Their death.
yes, Death Rattle.
they were.
I had to think about it.
Some of the band members were nice enough people, but it was one bad apple spoiled the bunch and just like ruined the whole crowd for the rest of the night for them and
Yeah.
for some of the other bands that came after.
Man, that's all it takes is that one.
Yeah,
Yeah, I would say definitely like staying after shows when you can, just because like kind of like Alex said, like showing that respect and like like that you're actively engaged in their music. Me personally, I miss a lot of shows that aren't my own, which I wish I didn't, but I work 3 jobs, so I am pretty busy most of the time. But
Sounds like it.
like whenever I have that time to go to a local show or something like that, like I really try to do that, just because most of the time I've got a few friends over there that are performing, and like I want to show them that I'm there for their art, and I want to show them that I want to support their music and like them trying to make their goals as musicians and stuff like that, just because I feel like the nicer you can be to your fellow musicians, the better connections you can make. And like I just feel like it really works both ways for you to just build those relationships with people in your local scene and try to become friends with them, see if you can't play shows together and stuff like that.
Like it's even
network.
take the first show
Yeah.
with you, for example. Even though we,
Networking.
yeah, it was more networking. It was more bands that we connected with that opens up more opportunities for us to play, which was ultimately the goal. I mean, yes, making money is nice, but right now it's just not the end goal. I mean,
Yeah.
or it's not. It is the end goal, but it's not
the primary goal
priority.
right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's not reality right now.
And for younger bands, that seems to be one of the things. You can't play for free like what was discussed the other day, but you can't go in and expecting hundreds of thousands of dollars right off the bat.
Oh no.
Certainly not.
Yeah,
No, definitely not. Like you're lucky to get $10.
Yeah, if I make $50 for a show, I'm going, hot damn.
Yeah.
That's some McDonald's for the way home or something.
Yeah, exactly. There used to be Waffle House for self-inflicted. Every time we made $20, we're like, yeah, we're going to Waffle House.
That's right.
Hash browns.
Oh, I used to get the omelets, and I was so pissed when they took the omelets off their menus. Oh my god, I about had a crash out at that particular Waffle House that night because it was a rough show. But I was like, it's okay, we're going to Waffle House. I'm gonna fuck up an omelet. And I get there, I look at the menu, no omelet. I'm like, wait.
Oh no.
No,
This can't be.
this can't be it. I made enough mistakes tonight. I can at least wash away my sorrow.
In syrup.
That's when you holler at the cooks like, "Cook, please
Oh no,
make an omelet for me."
those people see enough horror stories on a regular basis. I don't need to be one more.
That's probably true.
And that kind of goes down to some of the topics that's been brought up in the past interviews of, respecting people. That's not just in the music, but like, going to your 7-Eleven or Quick Trip or Waffle House. You never know what these people are going through. And so again, that you kind of said it without saying it. They already go through a lot of shit. Why give them more because of my shit?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and you never know what, like you said, you never know what anybody's going through necessarily. I mean, they could be dealing with some really horrible things in their life, and you adding fuel to the fire, is just gonna make it worse for them. I mean, there's really no reason to just be putting down people if just because they got your order wrong or something.
At the end of the day, they don't have your omelet to sell for the cheesecake. Or not for the cheesesteak. The cheesesteak sandwich. That's what it
The
is.
cheesecake.
I don't even think they do
Cheesecake sandwich. Ooh.
No, they don't.
The Cheesecake Factory.
Yeah.
I want a sandwich.
I want a sandwich.
The cheesesteak sandwich is a healthy alternative.
I mean, it's
So-
got cherries on it. It's healthy.
Oh, yeah. Wait. There's cherries on cheesesteak?
Cherry cheesecake.
Oh, I mean, on cheesecake, yeah, but on cheesesteak, that'd be a little odd. But screw it. Maybe it's somebody's favorite. I don't even know.
Might be my favorite. I don't know. I guess we're gonna find out after.
But definitely
Oh,
realistic about what you're walking into when you play a show, especially as a local band or even as a nobody. Like odds of you getting paid are slim to none. And we talk about, that's the dream, but realistically, that's not why we got into being in music in the first place. It's
Or else we probably wouldn't still be doing it.
yeah, exactly.
I mean,
It's like any other business. If you're in it to make money, it's gonna crush you, and there's too many losses. If money is your main goal, you won't make it long doing this. You have to actually enjoy it.
Yeah,
yeah.
you gotta be willing to put in the time and effort and sacrifice to maybe get your shot at it. And if you fail, I mean, you just gotta keep trying. If it's something you're really passionate about, you just get up and try it again. I mean, I can't tell you how many failed projects I had in between Self-Inflicted, Fatal Illusion to now with Paralytic. I mean, at least 20 different projects that never went anywhere. That started with just like maybe a guitar player and I, or a full band, or whatever have you. It's
you
gotta
can't fail if you don't try.
you're gonna fail in this regardless of whether you try or not.
Yeah.
So you might as well put in the effort is you're going to learn something from that failure, and you can either choose to be a failure and stop, or you can keep pushing ahead. And even if it doesn't turn out the way you want it, you can still say that, hey, you put your effort into it, you gave it your all, you still achieved some success out of it, even if it's not monetary.
Hallelujah. Praise the rock gods. Thank you. That's one of the favorite things I've heard in the last year, well, less than that, going through some like um, different things on YouTube and Pandora and stuff, where somebody had mentioned fail forward. Don't fail backwards. Because failure is a fact of life. It's like you said, it's gonna happen. We make mistakes. We got to learn from those mistakes, and when we fail, don't let us don't let it take us backwards. You've got to go forward. Because if you don't go forward, you can't make it anywhere. You're not going to learn how to walk. You're not going to learn how to run that marathon or ride that bike or do wheelies. You got to start and you got to learn. You're going to make your mistakes. Just like riding the bike, you're going to make those mistakes. You got to get back on and keep going. And eventually, you're going to be just cruising down the road without training wheels.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes after that failure, if you keep going, something amazing happens. I mean, with all of those, even after the first time I quit Fatal Illusion, I felt like such a failure after that. And then after each time, every other project after that, I always wanted to say, that's it, I'm done, because I'm never getting anywhere. It's all just the same thing. I'll hang out with somebody, we'll write something, and we'll forget it, or we'll make plans and forget it. And even when we lost Mike, our first guitar player, it was, great. Another step backwards, and it's another fail. And there was moments where I kind of wanted to say, that's it. We had our run, but, made a commitment to this thing and to him. And it was just, I can't give up. And then, what do you know? A whole year later, we get this little fellow.
Ray of sunshine.
That's right. Sorry, he is a ray of sunshine. And it's been an absolute blessing. So, just persisting.
We're glad that you're
Real good
glad that you're there.
age too.
For you or the audience?
Yes. What?
So Paisley has something. It's a little long to put on the screen, so I'll just read it. How would you all say people's perception of the metal community affects the band and followers and whatnot? Many people think that those who like metal are violent and angry people when that's not always the case. Like you've already said, you do write some angry lyrics, but it's your personal feelings. But with what she said,
I think
what's your take on that?
a lot of the older guys definitely started out like a lot of those bands that we grew up with listening to, like Metallica, Megadeth, and Slayer, and even like Cannibal Corpse and something like that. Started off as just really hateful and angry because they were really hateful and angry, and for whatever valid reason they had, and that reflected in the music. So of course, most people in media or on social media or anywhere really look at everything at face value 9 times out of 10 before they start to really see everything underneath. So when they see a song talking about like I can't really say what I was about to say, but mutilation and death and horrors and stuff like
Hacksaw
that.
decapitation.
I was gonna say some other stuff like a name of a couple of Cannibal Corpse songs, but I thought better of it. For,
I mean, I already said one. Fucked with a knife.
yeah, there's that one, or I Come Blood, stuff like that. I mean,
Yeah.
Fun little song.
yeah,
That's right.
fun little ditties here and there. So,
But I don't
see
I
stuff
don't
like
think they're
that.
gonna actually do that.
No,
No.
but some
That's
people
more
might
Ice
think
Nine
that
Kills.
because it's again, it's all face value, and so everybody struggles with that, I think. And when you start to take a second to actually, I don't know, look at these people or look at the behind the scenes stuff, even, or even just how they interact with people on the stage.
Yeah.
Sometimes it may be a little forced and fake, like people who are complete drug addicts and drunks trying to pretend so they can get their money, or people who genuinely care. You can see a difference. But
Mhm.
I'm getting lost in the sauce there. But
No, I mean, you got a point though. I mean, for me, I think that it's kind of funny that like, metalheads kind of have like this, stereotype that we're all like violent, angry people. Because like for sure, I totally understand that like people get that from the lyrics of a lot of metal bands. But I feel like when you actually like sit down and talk to a majority of metalheads, most of them are either like nerdy, fun people to be around, or they're just like super chill. So, I think it's funny that that's kind of what some people think of us, even though, like, like I said earlier, we're just a big old ball of ADHD up in here. So, no hate on anyone, just absolute floof in the brain. That's about it.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up on Ritalin and I have Vyvanse, so I totally get it. But when it comes to the whole thing of sacrificing goats, why would I want to do that to that cute little goat? I'll put him in my yard and let him eat my grass.
I mean, there's definitely bands that I'm sure have done that, like most of those Norwegian black metal bands. At least the ones that we know for certain burned down those churches, because some of those I have a feeling were just being edgy for the sake of being edgy. I guarantee it. Could I tell you which ones they are though? No, not but
So, I'm gonna agree with Oak Paisley over here, and I put that one on the screen for you guys. In the process of getting to know you guys and being around the metal community, it's very clear that everyone is genuinely so kind and respectful. And
That's
from the local scene within Oklahoma and the surrounding areas, I've got to say that really does seem to be the case.
nowadays for me,
Yeah.
I'd say yeah. But when I first started, that wasn't always the case. There were plenty of bands that barely gave you the time of day, or even there was I can't remember the name of the group, but there was like an organization down here in the city, maybe even in the state, that was associated with for a bit. That was kind of like this whole diva thing, like you go here. It's sort of like a motorcycle club without the motorcycle club. You show up, you wear the cut. If you tell you to be at the show or you don't be at this show, you have to respect what we say. And there were some shows that he would play before I joined where they'd show up or just, in the crowd and turn and face their back to him and like wouldn't acknowledge him, or like tell people don't go to this show because they're not associated with us. Like very high school bullshit.
Yeah.
So it's I mean, that wasn't always the case. It was very few and far in between. But nowadays, with all of these bands that are about our age or just starting out, it's so much different, and I love that.
Well, and everybody's like, for the most part, and most of the local scenes is pretty positive and uplifting. Like, I mean, pretty much, at least for me, this is my first band too. Like pretty much any show that I've played in this band, we've gotten positive feedback, or other musicians are coming up to us and congratulating us on the set, or stuff like that. And so it just kind of makes me want to pay it forward and be the same way with everybody else, just because it feels like a really inviting, friendly atmosphere pretty much anytime that I'm at a show.
And everybody's totally supportive of each other.
And that's really cool that like nobody, like there's none of that, at least from what I've seen, there's none of that like, oh, I want to be your friend, but like secretly I'm kind of hating on your success kind of thing. Like for the most part, all I've really seen has just been people that like genuinely want to see each other grow as musicians and, maybe become famous and, play the big shows and, make the rock star money and that kind of stuff. And, like it just kind of feels like everybody genuinely wants that for each other, which is, really cool to me.
Mm-hmm. Fewer people with Star Diva attitudes.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
It is nice. Yeah.
Those people are definitely not fun to be around.
Definitely most of the metalheads that I know and interact with, and a lot of the guys around here, I can speak for most of us, I think, confidently when I say that we're all just a bunch of silly gooses, whatever you prefer. At the end of the day, that's all it really is.
Yeah. I mean, you're not entirely
Geeses.
wrong there.
Geeses.
Geeson.
Geeson. I mean, I say geeses, but yeah, no, Geeson works too.
A moose once bit my sister.
It definitely takes a bit of not taking yourself too seriously to get up there and growl and headbang around and just have a good time.
Mhm.
A lot of the people with walking around today with sticks in their ass, they don't understand that. We're just a bunch of silly geese having fun.
Yeah, we've even had a couple members in our own band that had an ego way too big for their britches, and never. I mean, I don't want to sound hateful or that I'm better than them or anything, but they've also never done anything outside of the few bits that they've achieved with us.
Hmm.
Old bass players and a couple of guitar players.
Yeah.
So
No, I mean,
sounds like ego could be a thing that needs to be addressed in. I mean, how many other musicians tend to be like that? And not even just local, how many big musicians, get there and they're playing these big arena shows, but yet they still have an ego that's like you said, damn near turn their back on the crowd to play. They can't acknowledge them.
Yeah.
Is ego is something that needs to be addressed?
I mean, yes, but like we've said, we've barely experienced that anymore. Like the few cases that we have been such isolated incidents, and the one that we really had only lasted for what? Rose only made it 4 or 5 months. If that,
he,
maybe
no,
a
he
little
was
bit more.
he was here longer than that. He was here almost a whole year.
Oh.
Because he was like 3 months shy of a year.
Memory's a little hazy on that,
But no, I mean, his downfall was just him, thinking that he was better than everybody and telling them that, and it's like, well, nobody wants to be around the guy that thinks they're better than everybody. Like,
it just makes
just
everybody else
makes the
on
environment
edge.
not near as cohabitable.
And
So if you're a musician and you feel like nobody just wants to be around you, maybe check your ego.
Sometimes, yeah, because I
If-
mean, sometimes you do have to reflect within, for sure.
if you're getting kicked out of all these projects, or nobody wants to work with you, then yeah, you definitely need to take a look in the mirror and get a nice, healthy reality check.
Yeah.
And,
Which,
same can go with fans too.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say, same goes for me buying a ticket to go see whoever go see the band of Alex. Yeah, you guys are local. I say you guys just the local music. You're local. I have that kind of an expectation that you're going to be hanging around during the show and being friendly and be like, hey, what's up? Thank you for coming out. And no problem. You sounded great. But if you don't, if I wouldn't want to be around that person, if I don't want to approach Alex, I'd rather go see Landon over there, go see whoever. But I avoid you. That could be kind of a sign that there's something wrong, maybe.
Yeah.
Like if it's constant.
I know I'm definitely at shows not the most friendly looking person in the world, and I'm aware of that. And I try to work on it, but it's usually it's not anything like I'm pissed off or like I'm.
It's just
trying
hard
to
with
be
that
antagonistic.
RBF.
Yeah, I hear that from Dad. It's more just like I'm there to make sure that we do our job well and our playwright. I mean, as much as we can. I can't really beat these two if they play wrong. Make sure we're there on time. We're starting on time. We're ending on time, and we're just as efficient getting on and off.
And considerate for other people's set times as we can be.
Yeah. So it's usually just I'm very focused on trying to make sure that our side of things is taken care of. So sometimes they come across as me having the resting bitch face and unapproachable. But if you do, I will smile and be friendly. There's no question that. It's like what we said earlier. Appearance, seeing everything at face value, everybody's going to assume you're pissed off.
Darian Morgan, Crimson Tempest. I believe, you know what? I got it because I've got them coming up for an interview here in a couple weeks. Let me check. No, not that one. Did I put using scrolling? Did it? Where'd he go? Oh, Darren. There it is. Saturday, April 26th. Yeah, Darian Morgan, Crimson Tempest. So yeah, he's saying preach. So yes, okay, cool. Yeah, but again, ADD, ADHD, memory. Like, okay. And I was just talking to him too. Um, he's like, wait a minute. I think.
Again, that's us. Hamster wheel, no hamster, most of the time.
That's right.
But at least it's a fun interaction now, because sometimes, like even with that previous band member that that we talked about, that made things made coming to rehearsals and practices a little less enjoyable. But now that it's the three of us, it's the most fun I've had in a band in a long time. And so like every time we get together, we're like, let's go, let's go. Even if we don't get much accomplished, it's still a fun time, and that's the most important thing that matters, because it makes everything else that we do better. It makes the shows better. It makes the travel even better.
Yeah.
So you have to sit in the car with somebody for 2-3 hours, and hopefully you like the guy.
100%.
If you're gonna live in a tour bus for months at a time, you kind of need to like each other a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely helps out.
Yeah. Being a band is really like being in a marriage.
It really is. The only difference is it's not a monogamous relationship. It's poly.
So you got to take into consideration multiple people's feelings, beliefs, morals, all that good stuff.
Thank you. You can keep going on that.
Oh, I mean,
I feel like that pretty much sums that one up. I mean, even in any different circle, I mean, we're pretty like-minded, the three of us.
yeah.
But I'm sure there's some bands where somebody's a different religion or a different whatever have you, and there's that culture clash sometimes. But if you're respectful of each other and respect boundaries and work to get along, that's going to make everything so much better than just constantly butting heads and being
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't like your religion. I don't like your politics.
yeah, that just
Cares
makes
about all that. Take a moment and focus on music and what you have at hand.
yeah. I mean, even if you don't respect the religion or anything like that, you respect the person for who they are and what they bring, what they contribute to the project. If you stand to gain more by having them in the band, then maybe just put aside all your crap and figure it out.
Same can go with your management, your promoters, your booking agents, your venues, and especially your fans. Set aside the differences. Leave that at the door. Do the job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Even if you play shows with bands that you're not particularly fans of, I mean, still got to respect them for, the effort and the time they put into their craft. Because in the end of the day, like we've said repeatedly here, we're all here to do the same thing that we all love to do.
Yes.
It's a lot to try to get yourself to go up on a stage in front of dozens, hundreds, thousands of people. Like, not anybody can just go up and do that.
Yeah.
Mm-mm. And then, from my perspective, it's hard to be able to just, reach out and get these bands that people want to see. And, I when I do this, I don't care about, what this person believes or what that person thinks. Like, I want, I'm booking you because you got music, you got soul, you got passion. You're about the music. You're not about this other stuff. I put everything else aside. And I feel, that's what I think everybody needs to do, regardless of how small or how big you are.
Yeah, I'd agree.
not just in music, but in life too.
Oh yeah.
hmm
Oh.
I was talking with Dylan SQ the other day. Did a 2-part series, and he brought some stuff up that you never know who you're going to run into. You're playing in a bar of 5 people versus 500 people. You don't know who those 5 people are. You might be looking at your $1 million deal, or you might be looking at total failure. Depends on how you're treating people, how you're treating the job.
Mm-hmm. It kind of goes back to that golden rule thing. You got to treat people the way you want to be treated,
And if not,
Yes.
treat them better if you can.
Yeah. And good things come from all of that.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because you never know. You get done playing your set and you sit down and look at the bar next to that one of the 5 people. You're sitting there hammering drinks and being an ass.
And
That person right next to you, you're being the ass to. Yeah, there goes that $1 million deal.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So Darian had a good one that's up on screen. What is a good cope or preparation for a show? I usually do PR and get familiar with the crowd so it's personable.
That's a really good question.
So I do the antisocial thing. And I just I sit usually just behind the merch table and like mind my own business. But and then the closer we get to stage time with the butterflies kick in, and then of course as you're up on the stage, hands shaking,
Oh
knees are
yeah.
weak, mom's spaghetti.
That's right. I mean, for me, like, which this is going to sound probably a little crude, but I definitely, smoke a little bowl in the back before I come in, and
No judgment.
No, I've seen people do that and drink shots. And
oh yeah. Well, I mean, I try not to get
Coke.
like way messed up before a show, but like I'll go like smoke a little bowl, toke, like kind of chill out a minute, and then like usually after that, kind of the same thing. Like I'll try to kind of walk around, maybe talk to people. I'm super introverted in person, so I really struggle with that, but I'm trying to be better about it because I know that me going out and talking to people will inevitably help us out. But I would say like just kind of getting to know the other bands, getting to know the people that are out there seeing you, especially if it's somebody that you've seen watch you like multiple times, like maybe getting to know them a little bit better and kind of like just talking to them and getting to know people. I mean, I really feel like a lot of like being like good for shows is just being being personable, like Darian said. I mean, I think it's just getting to like getting to meet people and getting to know them and just trying to be the best person you can be for them, and hopefully they'll do the same thing for you.
Mm-hmm.
And we always do a band hype huddle.
That's true. We do
before
that.
The show, like maybe 20 minutes or so, maybe 30 minutes or so before we're supposed to go on. We'll always do one, and it kind of helps get us in the right mindset and focus. At least I can't speak for that.
I think it hypes us up and it unifies us for sure.
Yeah,
even though it's definitely silly.
Oh, 100%. But the silly helps because it takes away the seriousness. Because, like you said, if we're going up there too full of ourselves, then it's not a fun
Then
time.
no one, yeah.
But if we're going up there and having fun with it, then it makes everything better for us, which makes it better most of the time for the crowd, and then it makes it better for us, and then it's just this vicious,
Back
beautiful
and forth.
cycle.
Yeah, the energy feedback loop.
For sure.
Oh yeah, and we've seen that on several occasions, especially with songs like when we do Better Place. I mean, even though it's our softest song ever, I've seen it be the one that's gotten the most crowd reaction out of it, and that's really beautiful to me, especially for a ballad when most of the other bands are,
melting your face off.
Yeah, melting your face off and kicking your teeth in the entire time, which is wonderful in its own right. I mean, but it's nice to have a moment to breathe before the beating continues.
You- and it gives us a chance to kind of rest and relax and warm the lighters up a little bit.
Yeah, or the
Yeah.
phones. We've had
Yeah,
the
because we
first-
did have
this
that at
one of the
89th.
second
Yeah.
shows we did at 89th Street. We when we played the song for like the first time, pretty much the entirety of the venue was covered in cell phone lights, and so I couldn't see any. Not that I can see much to begin with, but I could barely see anything else after that.
It was
For once,
cool,
though, I could actually see the front of the stage area, though, because of how many lights there were.
You saw all like 10 lights. Oh,
Hey, there were at least 12.
We've seen that too, but I think at that one we had like maybe 100 and
Yeah, that was probably our
something
biggest
people.
show we played. Because I think they said it was like 110 or
The
something
sound
like
guy
that.
came up to me at one point after the show and said we had like 110, like maybe 105, somewhere in that ballpark. People there watching us at that time. There wasn't after we were done or before, but I don't know what happened. I mean,
Yeah.
they just came out of nowhere,
That's
flashed their
right.
lights at us, and was gone before we even knew what
That's
happened.
right. They just came for the communal Better Place singing and then they
Yeah.
left.
somebody leaked that set list in, Landon.
I don't know if there are videos for it.
was even in.
Yeah,
But it's his
I wish
fault.
we'd had videos of it, but yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Darian,
Yeah.
another comment that kind of resonated with me, said, being in the music scene has helped me significantly with my mental health. I love seeing our merch out in front of me and tell really bad dad jokes to folks in front as well. We definitely
We love bad dad
do a
jokes.
bit of that.
Oh yeah, it's a grand old time.
100%.
There's a couple moments where I'm like, okay, dude, like settle down. But for the most part, it's still enjoyable and it takes the edge away too.
Yeah, the mental health part of it, I kind of resonate with. So I'm definitely a socially anxious person by nature.
Yeah.
That you
And
and
me
the
too.
rest of us.
getting
You are not alone here.
getting out at shows and meeting people with similar interests and being sociable definitely is definitely something that I love doing and has a big impact on my life.
It's definitely a big cathartic release when you get up on that stage, and
Oh, yeah.
especially when people are feeding off of you and like excited to see what you're doing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, and
It
even
fills
if,
that piece of your heart that you know is missing from whatever that made you want to get up on stage in the first place.
Oh yeah. Well, and even if you're just having like a, not particularly good week, someone kicked your dog, whatever, like, like just being able to get up there and, I mean, I'm not saying that, that's what I'm saying. I'm just meaning like, like it's nice to have that, something to do like that to be able to kind of, release maybe some of that pent up anger, maybe you lost your job or, something like that. And like, you're just feeling down in the gutter, and like going to a show is usually something that just kind of helps hype me up. Cause like anytime that I've had, real like bad weeks or anything like that, but then I have like a show the next week or something, it's all I can think
Mhm.
about because I'm
Even
so
if it's-
focused in on it.
Even if it's not your own show, like going to concerts that
Oh, yeah.
for your favorite bands, it's a great mental health fixer. I mean, the biggest one I had recently was when I went to go see Seven Dust in Tulsa, where they were playing the Seasons album. It was an amazing cathartic night, and that was a rough week, and then just getting mauled to death because there was a mosh pit right next to us during every single song, including the ballads, which I don't understand. Even though it was like
Hardcore.
I don't understand what it was. Like maybe it was just like a, hey, it's here if you guys want it, even though you don't want it. It was a half-assed, lazy mosh pit during those softer songs. But then the rest of the time, it was just nonstop onslaught.
Wow. That whole cell phone thing, using flashlights. A couple years ago, I went to go, it was in Oklahoma City to see Trans-Siberian Orchestra. They played one of their slower songs, and I was sitting row M, VIP, right up, towards the front. And, they started playing that slower song. I put the lighter up. Next thing I know, there's a tap on my shoulder. I turn around, the guy's like, "You're showing your age right there."
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. I was young enough, I remember doing that too. Mom would hand me a lighter and be like, here you go.
Yeah,
Like, yay!
Dad did the same thing for me.
I'm one of us.
One of us.
Oh, that song. No. Oh, I don't remember what movie that came off of. One of the Austin Powers.
Oh, it's been a minute since I've seen any of those movies.
Same.
So,
It's
good movies, but it's been a hot minute.
Last
Yeah.
time I saw Gold Member was when I was in the Boy Scouts.
Oh god.
Oh. Once an Eagle Scout, always an Eagle Scout.
Yeah, I
Remember
didn't get that far.
I did, and I think I'm the second out of only 2 people that in my family that have ever made it.
I made it to life. That was it.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I cut it a little too close to the chest. Submitted all the paperwork the day before my 18th birthday, and then had the final interview on my birthday. The whole time I'm like pale as a sheet, like shaking underneath the table while they're talking about it. It's like I really wanted this and worked for it, and they made it seem like I didn't get it the entire time. And then finally you get it, you're like, the pure adrenaline rush, just like playing on a stage.
Yeah.
That exciting.
Oh, absolutely. So I'm going to bring one up, but first I'll read what Darian said. Hell yeah, I hope to be able to play with y'all one day. Hit me up, set us up. I send my best wishes and all success to you guys.
I wish the same to him.
Yes, thank you so very much. Definitely.
Crimson Tempest.
Yeah. For sure. No, I'd definitely be down to play.
Let's make it happen.
With Darian, for sure.
Maybe get you guys up here to Ponca City.
We can do that.
Maybe with 1911 if you guys are listening.
We're down.
That'd be a fun show. So, what I was wanting to ask, when it comes to cell phones, what's y'all's take on that? Because there are people that will live a whole concert, the whole thing. What's your take on cell phones? Should it be like limited? Should it be like use it as you want? Or like Maynard says, no cell phones. Like, what's your all's thoughts on that?
Personally, like, I think that if they're enjoying the show and like, they want to record all of it, like that's, they paid for the ticket, like
Mhm.
they totally can, like that's up to them. If they feel like they don't want, to record any of it and they just want to live there in the moment, like by all means down for that too. Like I think it just kind of depends on people, some people really kind of like to be able to video and keep that name, kind of that memory for them. Like me personally, I'm horrible about videoing just because I really like to live in the moment. I like to mosh and, get riled up with everybody. So like, I just don't think to do it really, but I feel like some people really enjoy a concert, just having their phone out the whole time, recording the whole thing. And, if that's the case, more power to them, honestly.
Yeah. And the way I see it, it's just more publicity and more influence.
Yeah, just more stuff of us to get out there, honestly. So
it's one less video that we got to post ourselves.
That's true.
Yeah. And it's somebody else that really likes what we're doing, posting something and sharing it for their people to see it. I mean, I'm kind of one of those people that I like to go to the concert and just enjoy it as is. Maybe get a photo or two, but I'm not going to stop anybody. I mean, from doing whatever they want to do.
Yeah.
Like Martin said,
As long as they're not blocking your view.
Yeah, as long as you're not being the dickhead who's holding his phone up in front of everybody else.
Right.
I mean, as long as you don't have the flash on, I guess that'd be okay. That might be a bit different, but
As
if
a
you're gonna,
Well, yeah, I mean, I
As
would
a
say
short
generally,
king.
as long as you're not being like obnoxious, sure.
Yeah.
But,
Respectful. But
Right.
you mentioned the flash. That's something that a lot of bands, like, you're the first ones who mentioned that actually, but I've heard it before that having that flash on while you're up on stage, it it's distracting and it can be blinding. Like when I went to the Tool concert back in 21, I think, there in Tulsa. The very last song, they're like, okay, this is the song you've been waiting for. Go ahead and get your cell phone out and turn your flash off. And then at one point, like sitting on the front row, I had to check, make sure it wasn't mine. But, he straight up said, hey, turn that flash off because somebody had it on. But you got a bunch of people with your flash on, like you said with your ballad, it's blinding.
Yeah, I mean, I
It
don't
You
know if
already
definitely.
got enough lights right there in your face.
I was
It,
about to say I'm blind enough as it is, or blind, not enough, but I'm blind as it is. With, I mean, obviously with the glasses, but between the lights that are right behind me and sometimes the spotlights, having a few more really isn't going to change anything for me.
Yeah.
But I was more feeling more for people that are actually in the audience, because then that's a light that's right there, especially if it's somebody like that's right behind you with the flash on,
Yeah.
or if you're off to the side and you see it, and or whatever have you. That part I can see as distracting, but at least from my perspective. Granted, I have a bunch of stuff in the way too, so I kind of have.
Yeah.
So how about being right there in front of stage?
Even though sometimes I have been front and center stage, and vocalists have been off to the side.
So Landon and ADD moment. What's your name?
Martin.
Martin. Okay.
Yeah.
So for Martin and Landon, you guys are, the ones that's, up front. Does the flash make any difference to you?
For me, not really. I mean, I am honestly, anytime that I'm performing like a live show, I'm honestly so hyper focused on, am I playing the right bass line? Am I singing the right words? That I sometimes kind of have to snap back to reality and realize, like, oh yeah, there's people watching me do this. Like,
Sorry,
yeah,
I couldn't help myself.
but so like for me, it doesn't really distract me any, just because I feel like I'm already plenty distracted without it. So I think that it just doesn't really hit me at all like that.
At a certain point, we're locked in, and it's like,
Oh yeah, no. Like after a
tuned
while,
out.
I'm just like, nope, I'm playing this song right now.
I'm worried about not dropping the stick right now.
Yeah, I think
Yes.
with all the craziness that's usually going on down there in front of the stage, the flash. I can't think of a time that it's been a annoyance to me.
Okay. So Alex mentioned a fun one, dropping the sticks. And have you ever had the moment that, right at that, I've got to hit it. That's part of the song. It's the cue or it's the whatever. Either you dropped the stick or you broke a stick, broke a head. Have you had those moments?
The only thing I haven't done at a show was break a tom head and a bass drum head, or the top of a snare drum head. I've busted the bottom side of the snare drum. I've dropped sticks every which way. I've hit my eye. I've hit my nuts. I've hit my face. I've bashed my knuckles against the snare drum. You name it, I've damn near done it. So
Yeah.
I've done everything, and you just have to smile and play it off and just keep going.
Or at least try to smile. You hit yourself with a drumstick, especially when you're, just blasted away. You got that power. Keep in mind for the ones that's not a drummer, the power that you're putting into it is also coming back. I've hit myself in the head plenty of times or missed the drum, like,
Oh yeah,
or
I've hit myself dead.
you don't miss, but you
Dead in
don't
the
get it with a
eyeball.
stick. It hurts.
You just have to grit through it and move on. But I mean, dropping sticks, I do that at least twice every show, at least. And I don't know what it is. It's like, it's not the sweat. It's not the whatever. It's just something in my hand is just boop, gone sometimes, or I'll break.
But right at that,
And then
right
you
at
just have
that
to-
wrong moment.
Yep,
Yeah.
break them. You just have to toss them backwards because I'm afraid of hitting somebody in the eye. So
I was just Raven.
nah, hit him in the eye either. I won't hit anybody. No lawsuits.
I love Raven. I would have done that. I would have. Oh shit! Broke a stick. Tossed it at him.
Nope, it's behind my back or dropped it right at my feet, and then if somebody asks for it later, I'll toss it to them, or if not, then it just goes straight in the trash. Or sometimes I just plain forget it up there. It's happened a few
Have you ever
times.
thought about Have you ever thought about collecting your sticks and stuff that you break or that's breaking, uh, sign them and sell them as merch? Or when you trade your like there's a good one. How often do you change your drum heads and do you sign them and give them for merch?
It's not something I ever thought about because like I'm a small time nobody. I don't have that much of an ego.
Hmm.
The drum head thing I think would be cool if we did like some kind of like drawing or artwork on it.
Or
That
like the logo on it or something.
or even just like some bands will do like their singer will take a drum head and just put like do a painting style art on it or something like that. So that would be
Hmm.
kind of cool, I think. But as for signing my own sticks, I don't have that much of an ego. I get blown away the few times I get asked, to sign a stick or sign a T-shirt. I'm like, really? You
I
sure?
mean, you're a musician. Look, you're the one that was up on stage, not me.
Yeah, but I mean, at least for my mentality, it's like we're there, you know, the
Doing our
opener for
thing.
somebody doing our own thing, and nobody knows who we are. So I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll sign whatever you want, but I'm also gonna be like, you sure? I won't ask you, but inside I'll be like, I don't know why you want this, but sure.
Well, I'll answer for myself. I can't speak for everybody, but I'll answer for myself. It's because I support you, and I'm hoping that one day you'll make it big, and I can be like, yeah, look, I got this sign when they were playing, that little club, and I was one of the six people there, and they signed the stick for me, or they signed this for me, and that's been a few years ago. But now look at them; they're up, playing BOK Center.
That would be fun.
It's just a support, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, we'll sign whatever
Oh,
somebody
yeah.
wants. I mean, I'm never going to have an ego where I'm like, no, I'm not signing shit. I'm just going to be a little thrown off that you actually want us to sign anything.
You want me to sign something, but I suck.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe sign it for me. That way I can remember you. So when you get better, be like, oh yeah, I had that sign when they sucked.
When he finally stops dropping his sticks, then this will be worth something.
Yeah, you learned how to play guitar since then.
I don't think that's going to happen. Every now and then I'll grab one and just like blink on it, and I'll get the look in their eyes and like, I should put this down. But I'm not gonna. I have dreams.
Intrusive thoughts.
Yes. They can make me weirded out when they go to play my stuff. I'm gonna return the favor.
How much do you think intrusive thoughts, being, group of ADHDers, how much do you think those intrusive thoughts have helped your performances?
I think they've kind of helped with the choreography a little bit that we've come up with, honestly. Like there for a while, like like our first couple of shows, we just kind of played the show and we were like, yep, that's us. Like, we're just going to get off stage now. Like, not really, we didn't really know how to make a show out of it, I guess. And, now we're trying to kind of work on being better at like our showmanship. And I think that, whenever we start brainstorming stuff like, like it would look really cool if like, you're headbanging and like throwing down your guitar or bass like on this specific part or anything like that, and then all three of us will just start piggybacking off of each other until we figure something out that we're all three like, oh yeah, that's really cool.
Most of the time, though, it turns into, I feel corny doing this. This feels cheesy as hell. But,
That is true.
but then you look at the videos and see the parts where people are cheering for it. And you're like,
Okay, I got to keep doing the corny shit. Yeah.
sometimes the corny shit is effective.
And it was documented, so you can't forget it.
There haven't been too many of those, though. There's only been a couple.
Okay, so another good one. What do you look for when it comes to recording studios? You're getting ready to go do an album. You need some place to record. What are you looking for?
Well, I mean, for both recordings that we've done it in house. So um, if we were to go somewhere, the biggest thing is having a widely available discography that we can look and see how previous bands have turned out, maybe some reviews or like a list of people we've worked with. As for
Mhm.
stuff that's there, I mean, I can't say like any particular equipment that they have that they would want that I want them to have. I mean, it's their studio, it's their place. I mean, it's whatever works best for them. They know the place and their stuff better than I do.
Mhm.
The only thing I really ask for is, you know, stuff that we can look at and then like clear and upfront about finances and like how much it's going to cost. That first album that I ever did with Fatal Illusion, we went into that knowing that we were going to pay like 20 bucks an hour to record, but we didn't find
Mhm.
out until halfway through that he was going to charge us like $2,000 for mixing and mastering. And by that point, it's like
Oh,
drums already done, bass is already done. We're halfway through guitars, like we can't stop now.
mm-mm. So be upfront.
Yeah,
Yeah.
upfront and honest, and actually putting some effort into the product. Because if it comes out like shit, then what's the point?
Right? So when it comes to doing recordings, you got your engineer, your techs, and producers, and all them. When you go in, do you expect any certain level of like constructive criticism, or do you want it to be just like this is our show, this is this is us, not you, or what do you look for in that aspect?
I think a little or constructive criticism is important. So, I mean, at that same experience, they helped us with the it was just a one man show, but he helped with you know uh, organizing lyrics or uh, changing words around because some of them weren't exactly words, and didn't quite fit in the sentence or whatever, the wrong words or whatnot.
Hmm.
So I think in that sense, a little criticism or like an idea here or there is not a bad idea, but ultimately, it's what we, if it's not what we want to do, or if it's what the artist doesn't want to do, then you got to respect their wishes because they're the ones paying for for the
Yep.
product.
So how about record labels then? If you was to sign onto a record label, um, you guys are Paralytic. You were signing as Paralytic. I'm I'm assuming then that you believe that when we sign, we're going to remain Paralytic. We're not going to become, you know, XYZ Records. You're still Paralytic, correct?
Yeah, I mean, if we sign with somebody, it's because they like what they're seeing here or potential. I mean,
Hmm.
a little input here and there is definitely not a bad thing, but we're not going to change what we do just to fit somebody else's idea of what we should be. I mean, that might work for some cases, but for some others it doesn't work. I mean, we've had enough bands over the years that changed how they fit and it didn't work, and then try to course correct, and by then the damage is done. If we sign somewhere, it's you're trusting us to be us. Let us be us. If you have some ideas that actually work, cool. If not, let us do our thing. If it fails, that's on us.
Hmm. Absolutely.
It's a risk taking us on in the first place. It's a risk keeping us, and it's how the whole idea, at least in my head, works. Anyways,
Hmm.
I've never been signed, so I wouldn't know. But
Hey, me neither.
yeah, I mean, at least that makes the most sense in my head.
So, what's your opinions on these labels when they sign people, bands, as they sign, they're signing literally their life away. Like this is, we are becoming the label, music wise, and namesake and all that. Like when you sign that paperwork, you become property of the label. Like, Martin, you said you was in the military, and thank you for your service, but when you signed that dotted line, you became property of the U.S. government.
Yeah, no, I did.
So when you sign to a label, do you think that's okay, or do you think that's wrong that everything becomes them?
I mean, I feel like it works for some people, like I think that if, you're willing to be like pretty open about the idea of your music with somebody, like, maybe signing that label is a great idea for you because maybe that, starts a career for you in the band. For us, I personally don't think that it would work just because I feel like, with kind of all the ideas that we're always kind of running around on, I think that, and maybe this is just me being a little stubborn, but I feel like, we wouldn't necessarily be as open to, changing the actual music as like other people that would be signed to a label would be. So I think for us, unless we just found somebody that, was like totally about what kind of our vision is for the band, I don't know that we would necessarily sign unless we found that.
Okay. Yeah, because I've been seeing that, you know, from the back end perspective, that these bands, especially, some of your, as they grow, these bigger bands, they want to leave the record, but yet as they leave, their contract's up, they play, they recorded X amount of albums, done the years, whatever. But when they leave, they can't take that music with them because they signed it over to the label when they signed that contract.
Yeah.
Do you think when they leave, they deserve the rights to their music?
I mean, me personally, I feel like it kind of just depends on what all you signed in the contract. Because, I do believe in staying true to whatever, you originally agreed to. But like at the same time, as an artist, I feel like that should be the artist's property, not the property of the label. If it is, the music itself, because like, one of my favorite bands, Egypt Central, had that issue a few years back whenever they first started making music again. A lot of their music was still, technically property of their old label. So they're, not free to use it like they would have been if they were still signed to them. And I
remastering and
right. Well, and like, they remastered a couple of, songs that were more popular from their time with that label that, like now those are their songs because they've done the rework on them. But, I feel like it's kind of silly for a label to be like, hey, I know that you guys put in all of the work and all of the writing and all of, the actual like, time and effort into writing this, and that, I'm just kind of a guy that like, sets stuff up for you and, tries to make sure that you keep, moving in the direction you need to. But like, I feel like if you're the person that creates that song, like that, it should belong to you or the group of people that helped you create it.
absolutely. So big record labels, if you're watching this, come on. It's not your music. You didn't put in the work. Yeah, you may have put in the money to support the band, but at the end of the day, it's still theirs.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's still their work, I feel like.
Free the music.
Absolutely.
Man, if we were just to all go on strike, play some 3 Days Grace, that one particular song. No, we're not going to start anything. If we all just went on strike and said free the music, no more listening to music, no more playing music, just until they release it. Like, come on, guys, do better.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it seems like it's a pretty tough situation sometimes being the smaller bands, trying to make something out of it.
Yeah, I feel like there's definitely challenges, kind of on whatever part of, I guess, your journey of a musician you're at. Because I feel like, bigger bands have their own set of issues and problems that they're dealing with. We've got our own issues and sets of problems we're dealing with. I think it just kind of varies from artist to artist.
Yeah.
What are some of the challenges?
There's never any guarantee that it's all going to work out either.
Yeah.
There's no
What are
guarantees.
some of those challenges?
So you have
Sorry,
to
go ahead.
just go for it and put in the effort. You'll make some success, but it may not be the success that you want.
Hmm. But there it is again. Put in the effort. Put in the work. So, what do you guys look for in venues? You go around trying to find venues to play, and what do you look for in a venue?
Anywhere that'll have us.
Availability mostly. No.
That's a start.
Yeah, I mean, for right now, honestly, we're pretty much content playing anywhere. Really, the only things that, like, it's kind of the same stuff we said earlier. It's like we don't want to deal with like mean people and people that are going to be uppity or act a certain way about you or your music, or play favorites with one of the other bands on the label, or something like that, or on the billet. But I think that for the most part, it's just looking for somebody that's chill and easy to work with, and that's gonna do their best to organize a really good show for you to put on.
Mm-hmm. How much would you expect a venue to help promote that show? Or do you think, hey, that's our show, we're supposed to promote it, you're just hosting us,
I would think they have at least a little bit of a responsibility to promote it. I mean, it is at their place, and they're going to make some money off of it as well. So, yeah, I'd expect them to at least do something for it. Yeah. Anybody
Right.
that's having a show should have a hand in promoting it.
Yeah,
I agree. Because, the more you promote it, the more you're trying to, the more possibilities there are of people going to the show because of you. Because, like, for me, I don't have all the same followers that you guys have, and vice versa.
sure.
Same with the venue, same with, the food people, whatever. Let's just take the food people. You show up to cater or whatever you're doing. If you're sharing it, trying to get people to come to that show, that's still more food that you're serving, more money in your pocket.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And that's more liquor sales for most of these venues too. So
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I feel like everybody promoting really just, kind of generally helps out everyone. Like it, kind of helps the promoter stand out more as a promoter, because people are seeing that, they're the ones that are organizing the show, and, kind of brings out the band and shows that they're trying to, show off the promoter and the venue. And I think it's just kind of like a, circle of life thing almost, where it's like, you help me, so I'll help you. So we'll help them, so they'll help us kind of thing.
So still working together, teamwork.
Absolutely.
makes the
I
dream
love
work.
it.
That's right.
That's all
It
right.
does. Okay, so one of my favorite questions on here, and this will go for all three of you individually, and then you guys can pick one together as the band. But if you could play one show with any artist and at any venue, even if it's not obtainable, with who and where would it be? And mind you, you're playing with the band or the artist, not like opening for or whatever. You're up on stage with them.
Oh, playing with them. Oh,
Okay. So
Oh.
for like a feature.
oh,
Or
okay.
something.
Oh, goodness. Oh, wow.
And
That's
at any venue.
Okay, so then that changes my answer to to that Metallica and Pantera in Russia.
Thanks. We discussed this before.
Was that million?
I mean, come on, man. How could you not? It circles back.
Somebody else had that answer.
He
Somebody
did.
else had that answer a while back ago.
That's funny.
I mean, how could you not? I mean, playing in either band as a drummer or as a guitar player in that band for that audience, that moment in time, how incredible would that just be? It's a once in a lifetime thing.
Yeah.
And of course, that's Metallica in like their peak, like at least how most people will call their peak.
Maximum speed usage.
Mm-hmm. Their max thrash peak before their mass commercial peak.
Yeah. Before the Black Album.
Yeah, I mean, no brainer.
Absolutely.
Even though I've got Megadeth on my arm, it's Metallica. I mean, there's a little Metallica on here, but
yeah. No, gosh, I don't know. Mine would probably be like if I could perform with them, it'd probably be either Devour the Day, Egypt Central, or 3 Days Grace. Honestly, I really like my rock guys, so like if I were able to do like vocally a song with one of them, or even just like even if they wanted me to totally shut the hell up and just pick up a bass and have that be all I do, like I would honestly feel so honored by that because like I really look up to those musicians. So
yeah, I want to hear him sing with Queensryche because I think that would be so much fun.
you want to see me sing with Queensryche and just butcher the hell out of it because I don't have the range.
Okay, so Alex,
But you
which
can-
venue would you want to play at?
Oh, whatever venue that show in Russia was at. That particular show, 100%.
So Martin, you're singing with Queensryche in
God,
God,
no.
oh, with Queensryche. Oh, for him.
Oh, no.
I don't know what venue. I just know during the Empire tour because they were doing Empire and Operation Mindcrime in their entirety.
Asshole.
So just to really put the number on them.
Just to absolutely make me look like complete dog shit in front of all of their fans. You're not Jeff Tate. I know.
I'm trying.
Like this guy.
He's the one who set it up. Damn drummers.
Yeah,
I'd pay good money
exactly.
for that one.
Freaking percussionists.
I'd take out a student loan for that.
Go back there and tune your snare drum. You know you want to. So yeah, I could hear you up on stage with 3 Days Grace, rocking both vocals and bass.
I would
So
definitely
what venue we're at?
You know, honestly, probably my favorite venue I've gotten to go to was where I got to go see, coincidentally enough, Metallica. Going to the Cox Center at Arlington was a really cool venue that I think if I got to play that with like 3 Days Grace or Devour the Day or something like that that'd be really badass.
And that'd be a good show too with both bands.
Oh yeah. Oh, if I could get both bands in there, like I would probably have thought that I died and gone to heaven at that point. I'd just feel like a dream come true at that point.
You walk around looking for Cliff Burton and
Looking for Cliff and the Rev to see if they want to join the jam sesh.
Oh God. Yeah.
Cliff, the Rev, Neil,
Yeah.
and Chris Cornell, and you know they're having a hell of a show together.
Yeah.
We got this look like right here.
So speaking of that, so it's your turn.
All right.
With who and where?
Well, since Alex so rudely stole my submission,
Sorry. You can still pick it. It's acceptable.
you know, it would be really cool. I think it'd be really cool to play the Paycom Center. Just that's close to home, and I've seen a lot of shows there. And I know that that's a show that if I was playing at the Paycom Center, I would know. A lot of the people I know would be there. And in terms of who I would want to play with, either Death or Pantera are my top two bands that I'd want to be able to perform with.
Why not both?
Both Death Terra.
Death Terra.
But that wouldn't leave any room for me because Chuck Schuldiner and Dimebag are some of the better guitarists.
You can just stand there on the
In my
stage,
opinion.
just going as you're watching them play. Just be like,
I mean, if you're gonna do that, might as well just go tour with Motley Crue.
Oh,
I, so wait, hold on. How do I rewind and delete this? Because I did not say that.
we absolutely did not mock Vince Neil there.
Oh, yeah.
Or continue to mock Vince Neil.
So Landon, I'll let you answer the one for the band.
All right.
If Paralytic was going to play with any band, any location.
If I have to speak for the whole band, that's kind of tough. We've all got
That's why I asked.
pretty unique tastes, and but I think that
I think he knows the answer.
we would all enjoy playing with Gojira.
Yes.
that is true. That would be pretty
100%.
badass.
Oh, damn it. That changes my answer. I didn't even think about it.
Get bent. That's what happens when you steal people's answers.
You're right. that would be my alternate answer, was their performance at the opening for the Olympics.
Oh, that was
Awesome. Even if it was only a 2-minute song, well worth it.
Oh yeah,
Worth it.
worth the setup and tear down.
Oh yeah. Oh, 100%, no question.
So what do you guys, let's go with tickets. When it comes to selling tickets for shows, regardless of how big or how small, would you rather have paper tickets or e-tickets? Or would you rather do both?
Whatever sells.
Yeah, that's a good answer.
If people are willing to buy the paper tickets, then cool. And if they would rather buy them online, then cool. I think it's nice to be able to have both when we have that option.
Paper tickets at least guarantees that you're going to get the sale,
Yeah,
regardless of whether they show up or not. Digital, it's kind of, it's like trust system, but
yeah.
it's definitely, having both is definitely a necessity, especially in today's day and age.
You think it would help with keeping track of how many tickets you're selling?
I mean, as long as you keep track of how many tickets, how many paper tickets you had to start, and you don't forget them laying around anywhere. And yeah, it would definitely help at least get an idea of how many tickets are being sold.
Mm-hmm. Especially like if you're playing out of state and just like going on a mini tour or something, you go down to Texas, then to Louisiana, Arkansas, Missouri, Kansas. Think it'd be easier to sell the e-tickets at that point versus paper.
Probably.
Yeah, if you're the touring act, it's definitely digital. But if you're like the local band that's supporting the touring act, it probably would be paper.
Yeah, that's it.
So you try and set it up to where the local acts would have the paper tickets to sell.
Yeah, if we could, and then
If you could.
and then having the option for digital too. I mean, if just having the options is better than nothing. Especially if you got somebody who's trying to come, to the show that's like say out of state from where you're going, or even like 2-3 hours away, and they can't meet any of the local bands for tickets. I mean,
Yeah, that's kind of my problem up here is that, you know, yeah, I'd love to go to a Paralytic show, but you're gonna have to hang on to a ticket for me, and I'll pay you either Cash App or when I get there, something. But I can't just meet you at the 7-Eleven real quick.
Yeah, I mean that's
Yeah.
an option too, but most places will let you do will call as well, or like a
Hmm.
rudimentary version of will call as well. I mean,
Yeah,
it's never been like a real issue, so there's ways to get around that if you wanted to have the physical copy of the ticket. I'm sure you can
hmm,
work something out with any of the bands if you really wanted to. 'Cause,
right.
like most of them would be like, "Oh, you want to buy tickets from us? Absolutely, take them all.
Oh yeah.
We'll come meet you anywhere."
Oh, how do you feel about ticket scalpers and like buying tickets? You know,
Fuck 'em.
Metallica posted they're going to come to the BOK or the Paycom Center, and as soon as those tickets go on sale, they got the bots, and then they go and turn around and resell them back to the website.
I can't safely say and express how I feel or what I would do to those people.
Cannibal,
I
Cannibal,
think
Cannibal Corpse comes to mind.
That's only round one.
That's
So
right.
instead of a knife, you're using your arm.
Fist.
Oh,
Things better left.
it's a little
to the
more
edges.
personal when you can grab onto things up in there.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Like Samuel L. Jackson. The other guy.
And this is where it all comes crashing down.
You know what? It's almost 3 hours in. If they've made it this long, holy shit!
Fair point.
Yeah.
Thanks for the dedication.
Exactly. Thank you guys. But you know what? We're still not done. There's still because I know there's been a lot discussed. I'm sure ADD moment. There's something I haven't put on there. Like I changed it up a little bit in the last couple of days. But if there's something I've missed that you feel that's important that needs to be said towards the music community, whether it's to the fans, to other bands, to recording studios, the management, stuff going on in the back, whatever it is. If it needs to be said, what is it? And to who?
What? What? I think we pretty much said it. Like,
Yeah.
treat each other with respect, appreciate what you do and the people that are with you. Give it 100%. Embrace the suck,
That's right.
and accept that you're going to fail at some point, and you have to make the decision whether to quit and be a failure or keep going.
And let the failure, mold you into a better musician, person, band, however. Because I
Just don't
definitely
let that.
I think failure is definitely like a learning thing, You fail, you learn not to fail that way the next time, so then you do something else until you fail again. Then you learn, okay, now I don't do these two things and keep going forward from that and just, keeps going.
And if you're going to be in a band, accept that sometimes your bandmates are going to piss you off.
Yes,
Especially if their name is Alex.
especially if your name is Alex.
Those fucking drummers.
Well, it's less about when I'm the drummer, more so being the
Dad.
dad, the producer, the
Supreme Ayatollah of assholes.
yeah.
Human metronome.
Nah, it's usually just when I'm a bit too much. But they pay me back. We make it up in worse ways.
Oh,
It's
it's been fun.
definitely it's a rough relationship sometimes, and you just have to acknowledge it, work through it, and you're all there for the same reason.
Yes. I was going to mention the molding thing. When you talk about the failure, let it mold you. I think it's safe to say, and this is life in general, not just music related.
Oh yeah.
When you fail, make sure that as you mold yourself, you're not molding those failures into it. You're using those failures to mold you to be better. Because if you make a mistake and you start repeating that mistake becomes habit. It becomes who you are.
Mhm.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. Letting the failure like teach you, but not letting it define you.
And it's
Hmm.
a hard lesson to learn
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
from personal experience. I can definitely say that.
100%. Well, y'all, it's officially 3 hours in.
Woo!
Not
Woo!
quite the longest, but it's up there. But there's a lot that was talked about, and you guys are some amazing people. I've worked with you. Alex, I've met with you before for a while now. Um, and crazy enough, due to Raven before he was part of the band. Um, and it's amazing how connections like that grow into more. I
Hmm.
mean, to think about, the show that I did in February, where did that all start from? That started with a group text between Raven, you, and myself talking about booking shows. And then from there, I got Alejandro. From there, we got more people, and we had a badass time. But if it wasn't for meeting Raven and then meeting you through Raven, that wouldn't have happened. Not like that.
Not like that, but I think at some point it probably would have happened. But I'm definitely grateful
Mhm.
that we all got that opportunity to come together and have a good night.
Yeah.
Oh,
Especially
absolutely.
for show and
So
Tulsa. I mean, it was a landmark for us.
Yeah.
for the both of us, definitely. Then even the people like Bad Frogs Rising, for everybody there, everybody just got to network. Even there was another band that was there that was just there to enjoy it. I'm wanting to say let's flip the dogs. I think, don't quote me on it, but even they even knew Raven. They knew a Bloodlust Revival, and it's odd that or not necessarily odd, but maybe coincidence that they're there, they know of him, and then so there's Raven working with the stage stuff. You know, the networking that happened.
Hmm.
It's important to have those connections. Go to those shows, and like hell, Darian got to meet you guys. You guys got to meet Darian right here in this interview.
Yeah.
A
Exactly.
couple days ago, one of the guys sent the guy I was interviewing a friend request, making connections. It's important out there,
Oh yes, that's
especially if you want to grow.
that's half the game right there is
Oh yeah.
networking. It's just something that the three of us have to do better at.
Yeah.
We're all way too antisocial and anxious as
You'll
people.
get there. You'll get there. I still think it's cool that the merch person goes up there and plays drums.
I mean, eh, somebody's got to run the merch table.
Hmm. Exactly.
And
Um,
too poor to pay anybody to do it.
right. You sound like a jazz musician there.
Eh, I've, I've never played jazz, but I know a couple of bits. I probably could figure it out. Probably.
It's easy. It's easy. You just need a good bass line, and you just put a little swing to it. Remember, it don't mean a thing if it ain't got that swing.
Yep.
Um, so for everybody that's watching, who are you guys again? I mean, it's not like it's like post it on there or anything. Who are you guys again? And where can we find your information? Like, if we wanted to listen to your music or we wanted to contact you for a show or something.
We're Paralytic. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram. Those are probably our most active social media platforms. We're on all the streaming services that your heart could desire, no matter what team you're on.
Pandora.
All of our social media accounts, and then we've got our own personal ones that you're more than welcome to reach us out to.
Okay.
Emails that are all on our social media. So
Okay, so all your contacts on there.
Paralytic _US for
Instagram, yeah.
and then it's just
And it's just
Paralytic
Paralytic
on
on
Facebook.
Facebook.
Okay, fair enough. Easy enough to find. And when I re-upload this, I'll be sure to tag you guys so that way if they wanted to get a hold of you, they can.
Alrighty.
Guys, it's been a huge pleasure to have you here. Get to chat with you guys, get to know you a little bit. Hopefully, this video could make it out to some different people and maybe help you guys with some success.
Yeah, no, we really appreciate you having us on today for this.
No problem. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you've made it this far, thank you very much. For those that will watch it in the future, thank you. Hello. I appreciate you being here for 3 hours and 6 minutes, and so does the band. But for now, it's time to get off here so we can enjoy the rest of our weekend. Good night, guys. I'll see you in studio in a little bit.
All right.
Alright, sounds like a plan.
And good night, everybody else.
All right.